All right, folks, welcome to the October 2020. I'm saying that like it's a big deal. Twin Cities Playtest.
It is a big deal.
I'm Mark LaCroix. I guess we haven't done intros before. It's been a month since we've done this, and I forget if we have a process. Anyway, I'm Mark LaCroix. I'm co-hosting this event. Also, with me is not our usual host, Peter Yang, who is indisposed, but our stand-in, fill-in, lovely, pick up the slack pal, Elaine Davis. Hey, Elaine.
Oh, hey, it is so good to be your pick up the slack pal. I was like really bummed when I heard that Peter couldn't make it tonight. He's been doing an amazing job hosting this thing. Mm-hmm. I hope I can bring some of that same energy.
Yeah, I have no doubt. What do we have? We have 5 games tonight, and we can dip into the library, I suppose. We have a couple of the devs here tonight to play with us, and we've got some playtesters who've signed up in advance, thanks to some unexpected placement in lists of events that we didn't know we were part of, which is cool. And also, Lane, you've done some effort to try to corral some folks in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The theory has been that if we find people who are excited to come in and test here, they can give the developers the best experience possible. I don't know. I benefited so much when I was starting out as a game dev from being able to show my stuff at experiences like this, that like I want people to have that thing that they're looking forward to on a month-to-month basis that is going to give them that spur that they need to work a little bit harder on their side projects, because we have some really exciting stuff going on in this Twin Cities community.
Yeah, that's right. And I think one of the things that we've talked about with this event, because we're all locked in our homes now, and this is not news anymore. It's kind of actually just kind of funny because like, when are we going to stop saying? So as you all know,
yeah. Well,
right?
okay. So I think that we're well on to phase 2 here of the not of the thing, but of the reaction to the thing. Like, so I've seen in our local like game developer Slack that giant beast that like a lot of the game devs in the Twin Cities go to. When this whole thing started back in March and April, the like activity in there went way down. It was like the people there, it felt to me like they needed to have those in-person events in order to stir the pot, in order to keep the conversation going. And without those in-person events, it just wasn't happening. I think I was looking at the analytics the other day, and it went down to like 40% of what it was before. But the chat volume has been going up. People are figuring out how to have online conversations and exciting events in this new space that we're all in.
That's a really insightful observation that like one spurs the other, and that's definitely true for our community Slack. Which, if you want to join that, by the way, dear listener, you can always check out iggatc.org. All of the links for contact stuff to get in touch with the organization is there. Anyways, but no, that's totally right. Like a lot of it is we are a local community, and so that conversation gets spurred from that. And one of the things that's different about an event like this, which was created after we were all locked away in our homes, is it was designed to break out of that mold. And so what that means is that we have developers and playtesters who are not from our local community. And that doesn't take away the focus of the purpose of this event, which is to serve our community of game devs and to help foster the game dev community here in the Twin Cities. But there is no reason why we can't invite other people into this club just because we're all in different places, because I'm as far away from you, Lane, as I am from anybody in the world,
You're absolutely right. And so I guess that's going to be the first of maybe a couple of pushes that I give here to anybody listening, which is if you know somebody, and I think we all know some people who would love to get that first game out, or to get that like a little bit of a spur to work on that side project, no matter where they are. Tell them about this, because I think that there's nothing that puts the fire under somebody more than knowing that in 4 weeks they are going to be live in front of people showing their product and exciting players.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully, if we can keep the energy up and we can keep it a monthly event, people will have that deadline to reach and go for. I know I've definitely talked to some developers and said, hey, are you ready to prototype your game? You want to bring it to the event? And they're like, oh, I don't know if it's ready. I'm like, all right, I'm going to bug in 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I reached out to a handful of people that I knew were working on games, and 201, every single one got back with either, whoa, that sounds like a really good thing. Yes, I'll be there. Or, oh my God, no, but you just reminded me. I haven't actually put working on that in a couple weeks. I'm going to go start on that right now.
That's great. What we really got to do is we have to showcase some broken stuff so people feel comfortable bringing their broken stuff, because I think people are a little scared.
We are pulling things from the like wholesome game jam coming up. Maybe I'm jumping too far ahead, but I think that in game jam games we're going to set the bar like kind of low here, right?
Yeah, and part of the discussion, and part of the reason we do this as a stream, and one of the reasons we have this voice chat that we will be inviting folks onto, is so we can talk about it, because it's not just showing off fun games, which is great. It's not just showing off like interesting stuff in progress, which is great. It's about really getting into it, and that discussion is kind of the meat of it. So I suppose that you kind of teed up the transition there.
Can I make one more point here?
Oh, please.
Which was that while I was trying to figure out my patter to try to browbeat people into being a part of this thing, the thing that really occurred to me is that we could have people come in with really polished games, and there's a certain excitement and glitziness to that. But really, I think that like we've talked a little bit about the motivation to have developers want to come on. But like for the playtesters and for us, it's kind of exciting to get the really raw, like really like early games, because that's when the testers are going to be able to have the greatest impact. If people can say early, oh, I think you're making a mistake in this way, or I really like this, lean in that direction, they get to have so much more of an impact.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right.
Okay. Enough of me stalling. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to roll on to the meat.
All right. Well, we were talking earlier to one of our playtesters, Carrie, who can join us now on the event stage if you're ready, and we can pick our first game for tonight. Which I don't know. I'm not sure which one we should do. This is our list here in front of us. Hello. All right. So, in front of you, you have Fingeance, which to lead off there, Lane is a developer on Fingeance, so you're gonna have to be especially kind to his sensitive feelings.
Yes. Hold back on everything you would want to say about that game, please.
Sure thing.
Keep Dreaming, which is a wholesome jam game, very pixel art.
Spoiler alert! I played that this morning. I absolutely loved it. I think that one's going to be one of the stars tonight.
It's very cute. Maladesis, which is a really fascinating narrative story that has it's very spooky, and it has like a psychological depth to it that is it challenges the player in a way that's really fun. And we have the developer here tonight, so he's probably listening and gritting his teeth to hear all the reactions. So that one will be fun. We also have Super Trader 64, which is another game from a developer who is here tonight. That's correct, isn't it, Lane?
One moment, was typing in the event chat. Yeah, you got it. That is Cinnabon from the Nice Games Club chat.
Yeah, and that one is really, really cute. That's my first reaction, is just cute. And then
have you played that yet, Mark?
I just opened it up. I haven't really given it a good go yet, so I'm really anxious to see it in action.
It's so cool. I can't wait to talk about this, because this is another developer that worked on that Ludum Dare, the more you have, the worse it is prompt.
Oh.
And that one, I don't know about you, but I specifically really relish games from that one, because I think it produced all sorts of interesting things. I think this was a fun take on it. Awesome. And as you mentioned, the art is really, really, really good.
Yeah. And then Tale of a Ghost Kitty, which is another one of the wholesome jam games. And it I didn't want to play too much of it. I was just setting it up to make sure it worked, because it's very enticing. I'm really anxious to see how it goes, because it starts off really provocatively. So those are my pitches for those 5 games. Kari, what is your preference?
I think that the Ghost Kitty one sounds interesting.
All right, let's pull it up. So you should be already connected via Parsec. So you should have access to this game. Now, apologies to listeners. It is a game in a tiny window. And so, streamer, you'll kind of squint a little bit before we get started on this. Kari, if you could make another connection attempt. It looks like we lost you on Parsec.
Okay.
Regular viewers of this monthly program will recognize that as a thing that happens at least once every time. So, no.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really just the intro that users look forward to. It's basically,
and I do want to say there is somebody else who has been trying to connect periodically. I don't know their name offhand, but they're someone who's, I believe, signed up before. I've been rejecting that connection because we're not ready for you yet. So just sit tight.
Do you want to go ahead with them first, since the connection seems to be an issue right now?
Yeah, I suppose that's all right if we get that one again. Otherwise, Lane, you can give this one a go to get started.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Let me know when to do so. Definitely want to give Kari here first dibs.
Well, I'll say whichever of you is able to connect first can play. So it's a race.
The race is on. Are we on Icebox or the spine-tingling Spinebox right now?
Spinebox is my laptop I have beside me. Do not connect to that.
Okay, but I want you to know my avatar right now.
My desktop is so messy. All right, Lane, you should be connected now.
No problem. Oh, hello. Okay.
So this is a keyboard game, so I'll have to give you access to the keyboard and mouse. And
okay.
You can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
Perfect. All right.
And Kari, you can play Peanut Gallery while we wait.
Oh my God! What is this? This is adorable. Oh, that's cool. Heck yeah.
Little Mario Odyssey vibe, maybe.
Okay, I really, really, really enjoy that like little onboarding touch. Any game these days that just starts with almost nothing and then just like slowly. Oh yeah, that box is way too slow. Slowly unfolds. I just absolutely adore that. Games that do that well.
It's risky though, right? Because you don't want to confuse a player or frustrate them immediately. It's very, very delicate.
Oh yes. Oh my, what is this? Oh, okay, so I'm lighting things up. Cute.
So, Kari, you found this event just as you happened across it and decided to join us. Tell me a little bit about the kind of games you play.
A lot of times I like to play otome games.
I don't know that. Can you describe that to me?
They're like Japanese visual novels, but I read them when they're translated into English.
Okay. Well, I'll have you know.
Goodness. I have actually published a terrible visual novel.
Is that how you describe it, Lane? Is terrible? I wouldn't go that far.
I would say it's like it's too long. It's too long. It's a genre where you really have to like budget your complexity and length, and we did a pretty bad job of that.
Well, what's the name of that so I can go find that later?
That's called Ruler by Default. All right, I totally thought. Oh, hello. All right, now that I am 3 out of 3, what do I want to do? Wait a second.
Oh, can you get through that vent? Use a ghost.
Oh, wait, I can stand on top of the. Wait a second. Hold on. I feel like I did something that I'm not supposed to.
Did you find a bug?
Oh no! Oh no! Well, okay. We went into this wanting to set the bar low, and
this is perfect. We got to find bugs. That's part of the trip.
This is part of the playtester creed. Yeah, I think that I got released on the side of the box that I wasn't supposed to.
Oh yeah.
So, oopsie. Well, darn. I don't know if I can get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a. Here, let me just. I'll commandeer here for a moment. No, there's no escape menu or anything like that, so we're just going to go ahead and close it. Lane, give me the mouse.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay, I have now accepted this request from Joelle, who's been requesting access for quite a while. I don't know who that is, so we're going to take a risk on that.
Maybe Joelle will have success. Oh, I just want to call out Der Raffelmeister in the Twitch chat. I want to put him on the spot because he has given a sworn blood oath that his a very exciting genre mashup of a rhythm bullet hell is going to be here on display for everybody in November. So I'm very excited for that.
Very, very cool. So, Lane, did you start the game or did our mystery guest?
I think that our mystery guest did.
All right. Well, you can head in any direction until you find your first, interactable object. With the arrow keys or WSAD, I think also works. There you go. So, Kari, do you have a game development background at all?
No, I'm actually in the legal profession.
Oh, okay. So lots of rules and esoteric figures and documentation. So yeah, exactly like game development.
And you guys are all from Minneapolis? No, from Minnesota?
Yep. Lane, although Lane, you have been traveling about in the upper Midwest lately.
Yeah.
You're back in town, right?
It's certainly true. I'm still in Grand Forks at the moment, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, one place is as good as another. So I think for the next few months, I'm basically just prioritizing doing whatever is cheapest. And things are certainly cheap in Grand Forks.
Yeah. Kari, where are you hailing from?
Philadelphia.
Okay. This music is very calming.
Oh, it looks like somebody else is also from Philadelphia in the chat.
Yeah, another one of our developers. Well, Jake, you can join the event stage at any time, and, it can be a fair fight, basically. Jam games are fun because as an object of analysis, because a lot of me wants to look at it and say, okay, this was made in a couple of days, and so it had very small scope. But at the same time, you kind of like, okay, well, what does this hint at? Because there are two different types of jam games. There's ones that have these small scopes and are like, they can't be more than what they are, right? They're so perfectly scaled. But honestly, that's the least common type of jam game. Mostly, you have strong concepts, great little like loops, and a limited mechanics that represent the scope that the developers took on. But then at the same time, it implies that, oh, I can see the bigger version of this, you know?
Oh, this is so cool. Yes, exactly. Where it's not a question of like, you could do this thing differently. It's like you have a very limited amount of time budget that you get to spend, and every decision is precious.
Yes.
Oh, this is amazing.
So it has a narrative through point, which is that wow, I can feel it right here. I'm pointing at my heart right now.
Aww.
That's brilliant. Well, I believe that is success. I think the game was described as a 5 to 10 minute thing, so I think, although there may be secrets to be had, I feel like that is it. Well, we'll leave this running, and I would like to hear more thoughts on, especially how that ends. It was a bit of I didn't expect it to have that kind of moment of heart at the end there.
Well, I think that as this was designed for the like wholesome game jam, I think that people were looking to provide moments that are just like as satisfying as possible.
Yeah.
So I guess like my question would sort of be like, what can you do as somebody who's making XYZ game to make it feel more satisfying, like regardless of genre? Like Kari, if you're playing a game that in the visual novel genre, what is something that makes you feel like really satisfied with your experience?
I like it when there's a well thought out storyline and that makes you feel attached to the characters. If you can't relate to them, you kind of don't really care what the outcome is.
Gotcha. And I guess for anybody listening, because this is something that I really wrestled with when I was working on my visual novel, is what can a person do to make characters that the reader will attach onto? And I guess that's like a giant literary question, so do what you will with that. But like, what are the most important things to get right?
It's a very big question, Lane.
Yeah, I realize.
I think relatability is key. You don't want to make a character too perfect because no one is perfect.
Right. You want to stay a little bit. There's power fantasies like in video games of all types, but you got to be careful with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, shall we move on to our next game? Give Kari another shot.
Yeah. Kari, if you want to make another attempt at a connection, we can load up another game for you.
Okay, sure. Let me see if it'll work.
All right. I've accepted your connection. We'll see if it holds. And what would you like to play now?
Surprise me.
Surprise you. All right. We'll load up Keep Dreaming. This one is very, very fun. And this is the other wholesome jam game. I'm going to have to give you mouse access.
Okay. Was wholesome jam like a prompt or something?
Yeah, so I don't actually know who organized it, but actually we did lose you, Kari, again, so I'm going to have to...
Yeah, sometimes my Wi-Fi doesn't feel like cooperating.
That's okay. Well, let's take a minute just to talk about that, because about jams and how they work. How much do you know about game jams?
Nothing, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, that's kind of great. There's a couple of different types of game jams, and the idea is that you get together with some people, either people, friends of yours, people you've worked with before, or random groups. That's also another type. And then you are given a certain amount of time to make a game from start to finish. And it's very, very constrained. There's other types of events like this in other fields, so like 24-hour film fests are pretty common, or like people will like write a novel in a month. during, I think it's November is when that happens every year. People encourage each other to do. Game jams are very similar, where you sort of use it as an opportunity for learning and growth rather than as a way to like kickstart your next $1 million idea. So a lot of these games have, by design, the scope of them has to be very small. One, so they can get done, but also because the point is not to make something to sell it, although many game jam games have then gone on to be further developed into commercial products. But it's a way to sort of like flex your game design muscles, your programming muscles, any of those sorts of things. And Wholesome Jam was organized with a prompt, as you surmised, which is just fairly self-evident. Lane, I know you have a ton of experience with game jams.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like where to start. Like from a developer perspective, it's like, I mean, it's very similar, I would say, to being sort of like the game developer equivalent of something like a track meet or something. Like this is the sort of thing that you kind of train for. Like when you go to a game jam, because it's like the most sort of you're trying to like get this huge thing done in a very small amount of time. I don't think that I've ever experienced as much like tension, but like in a good way to get stuff done. It's like you have your team and you have this enormous problem and you're all just like pulling together like Malamutes across the Alaskan wilderness, and you're trying to like get this crazy thing done as fast as you can. And I just like couldn't recommend it enough for people who are in the development profession. But like I think that from a viewer or player perspective, it's a place where you can find absolutely nutty ideas being explored. So it's a place to like really diversify your playing diet. And I would say like honestly, looking at random game jam games, as you might expect, like there's a lot of ones that are kind of broken in one way or another. One thing that I think has come together that I love is if you go to the LD Jam site, which is the maybe the biggest game jam. I don't know if Ludum Dare is the biggest, but they have this wonderful community curation, and they'll like so you can see for game jams like this one that Cinnabon, which is a game coming up, participated in. You can see that like this is the like very like all the games get rated, and you can see like these are the absolute fruit of this wild experience over a weekend. It's really nice to be a part of.
Wow, that's incredible.
Fantastic.
So I think I know what we can do here, Kari. We've got you connected now. You should have access to the mouse. Now, if this fails, that's going to be fine, because what we're going to play is we're going to play Maladesis. So Spriteborn, if you would like to join us in the event stage to chat about it, or you can join us after the playthrough. That's your call. But what it's visual novel-esque. So if we lose you, Kari, you can just tell us what to click.
Okay. Yeah, because right now it's being kind of. I just have a black screen and it keeps saying that my network is slow.
Oh no! All right. Well, I'll go ahead and start it. I'll be your hands, and
okay.
as long as you can see the game, we should be able to get your playthrough for it.
I'm here, by the way.
Hey.
Oh, hey, welcome.
Hello.
So, Lane is still connected, I believe.
Oh yeah. No, I think it just dropped out.
Okay. All right.
I do not hear the game at all. Oh, right. I have Twitch muted.
There we go.
Yeah, unfortunately, you won't hear it if you're in the voice chat.
I mean, I've only heard this creepy song like hundreds
a billion times. Yeah.
It's so good, though. It's so good. Mark, have you played all the way through this?
I did a couple of loops of it. I couldn't quite get through to the end. I think Jake has some comments on that later. But yeah, the music does a superb job of like, and the pacing of how the you'll all see it, viewers. The presentation is elegant, right? I don't think you'd mind me saying there's not a lot to it, but it really does its job.
It was originally made for a game jam, and I didn't finish on time. But I was like, I really like this project, and I want to finish it. I actually spent a whole day just making it look right, because I was very particular about that.
Yeah, the timing is incredibly effective.
So it looks like I'm actually able to use Parsec now. So I just
Good.
finished reading. I'm gonna click on the next thing.
It's up to you. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm too scared.
Yeah, I'm too scared.
I do like. I mean, we'll just be giving you a lot of effusive praise. The criticism will come later, but to start with, I do like how it leads you in from player to character, which is it's sort of a metatextual thing that I don't see a lot in games, or I see it mostly used for comic effect. And so I really quite like where it starts off. You read it as if you are the player, and then very quickly you're like, oh no, this is a message to the character. And then that lets you be that person more than I think other sort of story onboarding techniques do. So I was very impressed with that.
It's definitely supposed to like put you in this position. You're supposed to feel like you are in the nightmare.
Yeah.
And there's a very clear reason for that.
Dun dun.
Yeah, the music is definitely giving that atmosphere of dread.
Mm-hmm.
It is a track by Nihilor called Cathedral. I don't want to know what kind of cathedral it is, because it doesn't sound like a place that I want to be.
For sure. I don't know if I want to click wake up, but
I know.
But maybe it will be different this time.
The definition of insanity.
Funny that you say that.
Jake, you're now in a situation where you're trying to give everybody hints because you know how difficult it is to break free of this. And you
One
have to
person
be,
has made it to the end unassisted.
and you have to be very careful because it must be incredibly tempting to just be like, it's like, you know, like, just get it, understand it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's playtesting.
You can get an instant game over if you choose the wrong answer?
No.
Oh,
You should
okay.
choose an answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Just pick
Okay.
something.
I'm gonna click grab your car keys.
Seems
My
wise.
dog just wandered into the room.
Could the dog be what's haunting you?
Maybe.
A dog on stream, that's good luck, right? When I played through these options, because the pace is such that like it sort of tempers your anxiety and your anticipation and your frustration. Like I'm ready to move on, or like you've gone through it 3 or 4 times. Like the options that pop up, one pops up, and then if you're just a little patient, the other one will pop up. And when that happens, I always feel like when I wait, I feel like I did it right. But then the more you do it, the less confident you are that is correct. And I don't know if that's the intent, but it does make you feel a little crazy.
That is exactly the intent.
Yeah.
That
I
is,
felt very
that is
much
a
what
very
I was
specific
with.
feeling that I want you to feel when you play.
Mm-hmm.
You're tired of waiting, you're frustrated, you think you're on the right track, but maybe you're not on the right track, you doubt yourself. Like, those are all extremely intentional emotions.
Yeah.
I watched a friend of mine play, and she got stuck over and over again. She's like, I'm getting really frustrated right now. I feel like I don't know if I can figure this out. And that's actually how I want you to feel when you play.
Yeah. There's a balance. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a reason for that. We'll probably cover it, but it has to do with like finding the actual end. When you find that, the entire game will make sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I tell people too, and I believe it sometimes, that it will all make sense
I promise.
when you get to the end.
Shoot, so I guess I hit a dead end.
Yes.
I think there is definitely a to lean a little bit into the criticism. I know when I was playing a bunch, I was getting that frustration. At a certain point, it's like, okay, I understand the feeling, but my motivation to complete the puzzle it wasn't really tied to my frustration at the emotional frustration of this narrative. And that's the one thing I think that's what prevented me from keeping at it. It wasn't that I was so it wasn't the game itself. I was like, oh, it's clever that it's confounding me. Like, I liked that a lot. I think that, like, well, I really want to see the ending, but I think I got it. And I think that's probably does a disservice to the game, because, like you were saying, you are meant to, and I'm trusting that this is the case, that you are meant to figure out when you complete it. And I kind of quit with because I didn't know that, in fact. So I quit with not full confidence, but with a strong suspicion that I completely understood what the game was. And so that ends up being, so I ended up missing out on that. And I wonder if not for the fact that I know now that it does have that sort of like puzzle ending, if I would have naturally gone back to find it, and if that's something that you as the designer are comfortable with, the most people never seeing it.
Well, let's linger on that feeling of frustration for just a second. Like, if you were like, how could you in making a game like this reduce the amount of frustration people feel, or if you're trying to like get people to push through that frustration, what motivation could you give them to continue to the end?
I don't think it's a question of motivation, right? I think when people play this game, they're like, I want to see the end. I've done plenty to motivate people. I think it's a question of affordance. I'm not telegraphing super well what the mechanic is that you need to understand to beat the game, right? So the game has two mechanics, and it looks like it only has one. It looks like the only mechanic is picking a choice.
Right.
But there is another thing that is happening. And once you figured that out, you've figured out the game.
Okay. Yeah, and the lack of, and my guess is your instinct is to not want to give it up, right? And so if you make it obvious, then it kind of loses its power. But then you also can't make it impossible to find by offering no affordances to its existence.
Right.
So I totally understand the sort of two places you're stuck between.
Yeah, and I mean, you would think that I would learn my lesson, right? So I released a board game in 2017 called Kaiju Stadium. It's a game about giant monsters playing sports. And I make all my games myself, right? I do all of the manufacturing. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I had secrets in a board game? Because, like, board games don't really have secrets. And I was looking at Cards Against Humanity's stuff where they hid a card in the box. And I'm like, I'm making the box. I can hide whatever I want.
Yeah.
So there's a whole ass piece, a whole unit that is not in the instruction manual. It is nowhere in the game, but it is hidden inside the box. There's normally only 5 monsters in your team. There is a 6th monster. It took a year for anybody to find it.
Really? Wow.
It like rattles around in the box too. So like if you take all of the pieces out, you'll hear that there's something else in there. But nobody found it until one person emailed me and they're like, I think I found a thing. Was this supposed to be here? Like, yeah, it's supposed to be there. Like, it's visibly designed. Like, there's a little instructions card.
So we have to tear open this game and find the thing stuck underneath the box. So, Kari, tell me about this.
Based on watching the play right now, and based on some things that you've said, Mark, you have figured it out. You just need to execute on what it actually is.
So, Kari, walk us through your thinking then. Where do you feel right now, and where do you feel you could go forward with the game?
At this point, it says that you're hearing your own screams coming from the beast. So is the beast some aspect of yourself that you're trying to run away from or avoid?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't think it was a real monster, but I wasn't entirely sure.
You're absolutely correct.
I think one of the things in this story, in this part, when I got to this, I was like, okay, because you suspect that, like, oh, is this just going to loop forever? Is that the point of it? And here the game is kind of explicitly telling you that's the case. And it's hard, I think, there's a thing that I like to talk about, that there's like that trust relationship between the player and the developer that a lot of times games can be meta, or they can kind of trick you a little bit, or they can go full on Stanley Parable, and you still have a relationship with the developer that's separate from your relationship with the play. So when I look at that and I see it's just gonna, nothing you can do matters, it's just gonna happen over and over again. The game is telling me that explicitly in all caps. I don't know if that's telling me that as a way, as a narrative element, or as a game clue. And it could be both, right? I still don't know. But
It's a
but
feeling.
not
You're supposed
not
to,
knowing.
You feel like that playing as a player. You're like, wow, this is just going to happen over and over again. There's nothing I can do. I'm spelling it out explicitly. Like, this is probably how you feel, because this is an autobiographical game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to drag this out forever. I know you have other games, so click wake up again.
Well, we managed to get through a couple of them, or at least one of them, very quickly. So I think we have a little extra time to dig into this.
Yeah, we've got no time slots.
If anybody watching this in the chat might have any ideas on the directions we should go, definitely active participation from them as well.
Yeah, let's full on brainstorm this as a team.
Yeah.
Have you tried Scream yet? That one's fun.
Oh, no, I have not tried Scream. I've just...
that's my favorite one.
And it shows up immediately, and, well, you'll see for yourself. You should try it.
Okay, I'll click Scream for everybody.
Kari, have you lost mouse control?
Yes, I did lose mouse control.
All right.
That's what happens when you scream.
Oh my god.
Oh, you got it back, yeah.
Okay.
Good, I didn't want it to be up to me.
All right.
This is the shortest loop.
So I didn't press Scream until I got all the way through to where Kari is now.
Ooh, okay. Der Roffelmeister with the big brain plays. That's really cool. I like that idea. He says, have we tried going through the same path again to see if it changes at all? Which sounds super clever, potentially. I certainly don't know if it's correct. But with that last hint that we got, the last time the screams sound like they're your own screams, could it be that like you are like looping after yourself in some way? Could that be relevant here?
That's a much better idea than what I did.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, Der Roffelmeister, you're wrong apparently.
You should make that game. That's a good idea.
So I will say I never pressed Scream until I got all the way to the part that Kari got to, which is I'd gone through that whole thing and got the all caps. So, but I did suspect, like, if I had pressed Scream in an earlier loop, would I have gotten something different? And I like that. That's interesting to not know if that's the case or not.
So here's a question for you: when you press Scream versus when you press grab your keys and get to the car, what is the difference between those two loops?
Like mechanically?
Yeah.
So Scream is the shortest loop. That's the clue you just gave us.
And when you do car keys, get to the car, and choices after that, the loops are longer, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
what's the difference between those two choices?
The grab your car keys comes on later, so perhaps we should use that as a tool. One thing I was thinking here is there's no guarantee that we've seen all of the choices. Maybe you have to wait around a long time. But it'd be interesting to see if we just go with these choices with longer delays.
I was thinking the clue is that just scream as much as possible as often as you can, and that way you can loop and loop and loop. That's what I was hearing.
We don't know what he does every night.
Well, right, drawing out a trauma is not a way to face it, right?
Oh,
trauma is the key word here.
Oh, I like it.
So, should we go back and grab the car keys again?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Tell me if you can find something in common with choices as you go.
Okay.
Interesting. Oh, we've got mouse control, thank goodness.
Yeah, I will say you are very, very close to figuring the game out.
Okay. Well...
Uh-oh, we can't do that.
I think checking the headlights has been the best option, because I think if you go without thinking... I haven't clicked the drive away option yet, but when I click the headlights one, I get to move on. It seems like a good thing to keep in mind is to kind of have your choices be more calm and thought out than to just do things impulsively.
Whoa.
That is very, very true. That is by design. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Leonix and Derafelmeister kind of going in opposite directions here, but Derafelmeister's like, maybe we should just be very calm when we click the buttons.
What, do you have a Wii vitality sensor attached?
At all times. Wait a second. Those came in at basically the same time. Tricky. Well, staying on local roads is definitely slower. What do you folks think?
I
Yeah,
know
I feel.
when
Didn't we take this path already? Is that the idea? We're taking the
Yes.
same path again?
Yeah, we already took the path, and if you get on the highway, you have to loop again. And I guess that
Right.
So I'll go to the local roads.
Yeah. Responding to Leonix 3, you are a well-known bad at horror games person, so yeah, I'm gonna do the opposite of what you say.
Okay. Now it's saying you try to stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
So park and walk is what lets you move forward the last time, I believe.
Right, which is what I chose last time. Unless you guys want me to go with a different option this time.
Yeah, and you did walk and then hide after that, is that correct?
Yeah, but then maybe it should have been walk and then run.
Yeah, that one really threw me off because I felt like I didn't like either of those options. So it might
I
be
didn't
that
like either of them either.
it might be that if going through this same path again, we might be presented on the second time with a calmer option in the park. It's a risk. I do know that the other two options, at least in my playthrough, if we want to just my own little taste of spoilers, like I don't recommend either of those other two.
Okay, so.
But I don't know. I mean, I think Jake is telling us we're very close, but I don't feel very close. In fact, I don't think I'm getting it.
That's
Yeah.
been pretty common. People who've gotten extremely close haven't felt close, and that's something that I need to think about and do do Like you are on the right track.
Mm.
Okay. I think
Yeah,
I'll
I
go with
suppose-
park and walk then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we've definitely been very satisfied to like sit and think about these things. I don't feel like we're too impatient yet. But I definitely feel like in puzzle games, my biggest frustration is feeling like I've stumbled upon a possible solution and then it taking a long time to execute that possible solution. So like I don't know, like it might throw off the whole pace of the game to make things come in faster though as you go through the loop. So I don't really have a solid idea of what you would do.
Mm-hmm. And the risk of a wrong choice is frustrating, both in sort of the emotional role play, but also just as a player playing a game.
Well, absolutely.
When you're solving a puzzle, it feels, and I think players have different tastes on that. Like some people really get amped up on that risk, and other people get really, really turned off by it. So I don't know that that's something you can solve necessarily.
Yeah, and I'm a strong believer that games don't always have to be fun. Like games, I think games have to have purpose, right? And the purpose of this game this is not a fun game because it deals with a subject like very near and dear to me that is decidedly not fun. It is not a game about monsters. It is not a game about nightmares.
So Kari, I've seen you mouse over the text a little bit. Just to, is that just like checking to see if there's another secret link hidden someplace?
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been.
Yeah, maybe the clue here is just to wait for a third option.
Oh.
Because this is where we're saying that we both had the same experience that we didn't like either of these choices.
Yeah.
Right.
That is the right idea.
Because these are both like more intense than what we're doing currently. So.
I will save you some time. There are no choices hidden in the body text.
Okay.
Oh. I thought maybe it would be.
No. I thought about that once I figured out how to make buttons look the way that I wanted to. I was like, oh, you can hide buttons. You can make them hard to click.
Yeah.
So that doesn't.
It seems so cheap.
It's not very. Yeah, there's not really much payoff if you do it that way.
One of the things I've been watching for as we get closer to discovering what the secret of this game is I've been watching for those kinds of tricks, which I'll say right now I'm not a big fan of, where like, you know, a button that looks like nothing, you know, that sort of thing it feels like it's the developer being clever, but the player doesn't get to be clever.
Yes.
And which is why I don't like the Stanley Parable, as funny as it is.
If the game was specifically about like you being trapped in some sort of like storyteller's fantasy or something, maybe it would like fit thematically.
Right, you'd have ways to get yourself there in a way that would be a player journey rather than a developer prank.
Yeah.
To be as uncharitable as possible about it. That's probably not fair, but
Nothing happens if we mouse over any of the like extra dark area down there where like another choice could be, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Will another option appear?
On this screen, no.
Okay. Oh,
Well.
that's
Okay.
another hint. Okay.
Well, we did hide last time. Should we run this time just to see what the text says?
well, that's the
Sure,
question.
when-
Is the lesson we learned that to find every branch of the tree, or to stay steady and focused and do the same thing over and over again? I don't know if we've learned one lesson or the other. Sorry to add a lot of doubt there at the last minute.
Alternatively, perhaps like we've been going for the more chill thing so far. Hiding definitely seems more chill to me than running. I'm wondering is
Yeah.
like maybe something else pops up there eventually,
Hmm.
or maybe it's back on the local roads because local roads still seems pretty chill. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's hard to quantify these
Going down
things.
that path, where do you think the most chill place would be out of all the scenes that you've seen so far?
In bed.
Screaming in bed over and over again. I just want to pitch that one again.
Well, maybe
There?
another dialogue pops up on some place that we haven't considered so far. I know that, I know that bed can be a chill place.
That's the chillest place for me.
Oh my
And,
goodness!
and it's
yeah.
autobiographical, so that's a clue.
Let's go ahead and dial. Good point, Mark.
So in this case, do you want me to click run or hide? I know we did hide last time.
It is your call.
I mean, I feel like both of these will just put us back in the loop, to be honest with you.
Hmm. And maybe that's
I'll
okay.
I'll click run this time.
All right.
Yeah, you are correct. They will both
Yeah.
result in your demise.
Why did you leave your house? Oh,
Don't
that
sound
was-
so happy about it.
This is your last hint in the story text.
Okay.
Why did you get out of your car? Why did you leave your house?
Yeah. So maybe we're supposed to wait for an option on the first page?
There is something fun about Scream, Get in Your Car, revealing one by one, because then it's very easy as a player to be like, oh, look, the second option appeared, without
Right.
ever considering there would be a third.
I'm so
That
annoyed.
might
This-
be.
The screen has my only typo on it. That I is lowercase. That just annoys me so much.
Oh, no.
Like, I don't want to
True-
go back and make another build just to capitalize an I.
True story, when I was in like 7th grade or something, whatever the last grade it was in school that gave you a spelling test, so middle school somewhere, I literally got I wrong because I just did a lowercase I. And it confused me at the time because, like, why would you put this on the spelling? There were like 600 words, right? It was you were meant to do it very quickly. And so I didn't think that it was a trick, but it was a trick. Also, I didn't take this up with the teacher, but I did spell it right. Right? An I and a capital I and a lowercase I are not different letters.
Right.
That's true. That's true. You probably had a promising future in philosophy.
I mean, I could have taken it to the
Oh.
magistrate, but you know.
Is something else going to pop up on this page?
Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to see for yourself?
So yes.
I guess we could just... Okay, so I guess we should just sit here indefinitely.
I think so.
Not indefinitely.
For a very
Well,
long time.
isn't that part of it? Not everybody has you, the developer, to ease their mind that an option
Yeah.
may in fact show up. So and that's
Right.
that's by
Right.
design, I imagine, is that uncertainty. Like testing a theory, it's like you can feel silly for like, it's like, oh, I don't know, I'll wait on the first screen, and then you're like, but that's ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean?
So that's the thing that I didn't think about is like, typically when I've watched people play, they don't think about it on the first screen. They think about it on the death screen. They think
Yeah.
about it when they reach that wake up again choice, wherever it happens to be. And they're like, okay, well, what happened in that run? They don't click it and then think about it in the beginning of where to go.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's kind of good in a way. Like if they accidentally got it just because that's where they happened to stand on when they like went and got a cup of coffee or something, then they would feel cheated.
Third option.
Wow, okay, great. The third option has
Ah.
showed up.
I'm going to be quiet for this because this is the payoff.
Okay.
Some mouse trouble gave us some extra drama there.
Yeah.
Leonix3 with an excellent suggestion in chat.
Once again, he was precisely wrong.
Just don't ever wake up. Okay, are you sure about this? Yes, I'm sure.
I want to meet the player who changes their mind in that moment.
Oh my god!
I had to give one last temptation.
Oh, it was a vampire the whole time. You didn't find you if you didn't let it in.
Kill it.
Or it's your pet dog trying to get in the house.
We're teasing, but I think the narrative does a pretty good job of letting you know very quickly it's not a corporeal being, and not
Right.
and not attempting to make that a twist. I think that's it. That treats the player with some respect, and I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is everybody following along?
Mm-hmm.
Don't always use timing to torment you.
Okay. Because I was like, do I have to wait for another option to pop up, or can I just put? So it was some part of you that you're trying to escape.
Mm-hmm. Notably, the music stops, and you kind of like you yourself. I mean, we're on stream, so there's a little bit of that, but I don't want to make even the littlest bit of noise. Like that dead silence is it's like it's a feature.
There are 2 songs in this game.
This is a much more upbeat song. And I think that you've also been telling the player to also have some patience, as in the first screen where we needed to wait for a third option to pop up instead of just impulsively clicking one of the first 2.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I really liked that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And I can see now why that frustration is something that's a very, very, very important part, and that lessening that would really take away from the meaning of the game here.
Right.
Because like that's it. That's how I feel all the time. If I'm in the middle of a panic attack, I just there's like 10,000 things that I want to do, and all of those choices are bad. Acting on your feelings while you're experiencing panic is like the worst thing that you can do, and I've made so many mistakes by doing that. And so part of it is like if you yourself experience panic attacks and you play this game, you should recognize that very quickly. I've had people be like, "This is a game about panic attacks, isn't it?" Like, yep, it is. And if you don't experience them, the goal was, how can I give you a sample of what that's like, so that you can have some empathy for people who do. The only thing that I could think of to change it would be every time you loop, the delay for wait gets shorter. It would just be an invisible. So right now it's actually pretty short. It just feels like a long time. It's 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought even if I did like -5 seconds every time you go through, down to a minimum of like 30 seconds.
Well, there's a part of it that's interesting because you could very easily stumble upon the answer if you start the game and then the microwave goes off, and then you're like, "Oh, right, I had a thing going," and so it's a challenge because if you're really you're walking somebody through a story and an experience, and it's interactive, but at the same time, you do want them to do it in essentially the order we did it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
there is a failsafe for that. You can't get that option on your very first attempt. So if you just started the game and you just played through the intro, and then you're like, I don't know what to do here, it will never show up. It is not an option. That's why every time you loop, the screen says you feel like you've been here before.
Yeah, right.
Once you can see that, that's when you can get the choice to wait. So it will not show up before that. You can't experience it on accident. You have to make some mistake at least once.
Right. So that's a really important distinction between mechanics and design. So when I got to the point where I loop over again, and watching Kari get to that point where we all kind of came to the realization that we should probably wait here, we kind of finally got it. I think when that thing appears, I as a player don't know. And this is apart from the experience, the feeling that the game is specifically itself meant to do. This is sort of general gameplay design. Like, I don't know that wouldn't have appeared before, and that so even though it's a mechanic, it doesn't feel designed. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Maybe it's a little, but like it is. I think that's the part that I think is a challenge for a game like this is. You want the player to feel essentially exactly the feelings that you're portraying, right? And at the same time, that like those feelings of frustration can sometimes manifest in a similar, or at least a way that's empathetic to a panic attack, which is what you're aiming for. And I think we all recognize the places where it's incredibly successful in a lot of those ways. But I wonder if a lot of the frustration is a different kind of frustration sometimes, and that's like I don't want to present it as a problem exactly, but I'm like, where could you take this to guarantee that result? Because what you want people to get this message, and so, but at the same time, you don't want to give them the message because then they won't get it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
I hid some like text breadcrumbs in the story, little hints to be like, hey, this is about panic attacks, this is about anxiety, and then hints about where to go, like, why did I wake up? Why did I get out of bed at all? Like, little bits and pieces to be like, oh, well, what happens if I don't get out of bed at all? What happens if I just sit there? But
did you play it all with the notion? Oh, go ahead.
No, that was it. People just they haven't made that leap yet, and I think that I was too subtle with those hints.
Gotcha.
Which is
it was interesting to see some people in the chat had the same conclusion that I got to, which is essentially that this is a story about a loop, and in some ways it is, and that's where the frustration comes from. But what I wonder is like, well, I suppose I was thinking that like maybe this was a time travel thing, because that's where my mind goes with a loop, and what I'm wondering is like if you had. Did you ever play with the idea of having like some changing text or some additional text at some of the endings? Like if you go through a thing a second time, is something might pop up of like, this isn't working or something like that. They could be woven into the character's voice, but just a strong hint that like this thing of doing the same thing over and over again isn't what you're supposed to do.
I thought about doing that, and there are two reasons that I didn't.
Yeah.
The first was technical scope. I didn't. It wasn't built into the code to know what state you're in. And I know that sounds absurd, but each state only knows about each other. And when it loads the state, it loads what the story text is, what the delayed story text is, and how long that delay is. And then each choice has a text and delay attached to it. And that is all the information that the game has. So the game isn't looking for like, well, is it this state? Is it that state? And as it stands, every time that I would want to use a specific state, I would have to write code specifically for that state.
Right.
And that was outside of the technical scope of the game. I also didn't want people to think that you did have to do the same thing over and over again. That's why nothing changes, is because like maybe you try that once, maybe you do the exact same footsteps you just followed. I don't want you to see anything different because I don't want you to think that that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, definitely a could give very much the wrong signal.
Yeah, because the difference is like trying something over and over. Like gamers have a literacy for if there's some little new thing, they feel that that's a reward, they're on the right track. But that actually that's counter to the message here.
Right.
And so you kind of have to fight that impulse a little bit. I want to say, like you're talking about like the sort of technical challenge, like this is a perfect example of a game that, like you say, none of those states know about anything else. But I think we as the player kind of feel that they do. And that is a case of using limited capacity to do a lot of design. And that is, I think people who say like, oh, I can't make games because I don't know how to do this or that or whatever. Like you're an experienced game designer and you have technical programming abilities, and this game didn't require a ton of that, you know, or kind of the technical element anyway. It still ended up having a lot of depth. Does that make sense?
I think it's 3 scripts and a total of about 280 lines of code. And a lot of those are spaces. Let's be clear. I like my code to look nice and neat. But I mean, that was the point. Is like I gave myself one day. I said this is supposed to be weekend jam. It's Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and I was like, I'm going to give myself about 6 hours to write the technical part of this game. And that's what I did. You know, I built the state manager. I wrote a scriptable object for each story state and all of its choices. And I wrote an audio manager. I think that's it. I think that's everything in the game. And then I said I'm going to focus on my writing because I think that's what I do best. I'm a writer. That's really what I am. I'm a game designer, but I'm also a writer. I write a podcast. I talk about mental health stuff all the time. I debated making this game a headphones recommended game. That's my podcast because it deals with the exact same themes. It deals with mental health stuff. Getting people to experience empathy by giving them a story, a place where like you can be vulnerable as the creator. But yeah, keeping it technically very simple was very important to actually making this game see the light of day. Yeah. I didn't think that it would get out there if I let myself add too much stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that you're talking about practical considerations, but I do want to make it really clear that it does reveal how much you can do with just a couple of pieces. And that's really exciting. And it seems like you put the focus in exactly the right places.
Yeah, for this particular project. Yeah, I think so.
So do you have? I know you when we spoke earlier, you were saying like this game is done, right? We can give you feedback and you can lament and maybe I'll do this a little differently or whatever. But this is a completed project. Do you have designs on or ambitions to make like future games in this style? Is this more of a post-mortem, or do you feel that you can take some of these learnings into the next project?
I think this is actually an extension of my last game jam. I did Lidendare, whatever you want to call it, back in April, and I made a game called Kudoklasm. It's also on my itch page, and it's about experiencing the first 40 days of the pandemic. And it's super basic. There's like some visual stuff that didn't work the way that I wanted it to. There's not a whole lot of mechanics, but it's very steeped in like, I want you to feel a certain way when you play, and I think it does that. I took those lessons and I made this game, and I was like, you can do a lot with like, I'm gonna describe a very stressful scenario for you, and then I'm not gonna let you make a choice right away. You want out, and you can't get out, and then I'm gonna make that even worse by giving you the first choice, a bad one. If you choose the first choice, you're gonna die. Right? Like that's stressful. When every time you go to the beginning of the loop and you see Scream and you know that Scream is gonna result in bad news bears for you, and you just have to wait like 8 more seconds for the right choice. I think using timing in story choices, that's definitely something that I can implement going forward. I'm annoyed by the alpha levels that you described earlier in private. You actually can kind of see the text, and you're not supposed to be able to. It's one of those. It worked fine on my machine, because it does. Like it looks fine on my machine. I don't know why.
Just feel free to blame Unity, because 90% of the time that's a fair bet.
It's possible. It's possible.
But also, here's a really important part about that, actually, and I didn't. I hope I didn't bum you out when I told you about that, because I don't think that hurts the game at all. Like as soon as I realized that I could read some of this in advance before it faded in, and I could cheese the experience slightly. I was at no point motivated to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like the game doesn't give me any incentive to read ahead. Like the game has my trust that it will dole it out to me in the way that it's meant to, and so I just will let the experience. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't. So even though that may be frustrating on a technical level, I don't think there's any. I don't think you have to worry about like. You may want to change that one spelling error, but like if if you're not interested in any hot fixes, I think you're fine. I think it's totally fine.
Mark, I'm sure your teacher would be very frustrated with you. It's not a spelling error; it's a grammar error.
Right.
Yeah, and before we get off the subject of this game, I just wanted to say that like the text absolutely pulled me in. Like I was reading it out loud as I was playing, and every sentence was just so perfectly cadenced. Like that's really what won me over as thinking like this is worth my time, and it's worth like ignoring like a little alpha error, whatever.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm very proud of my writing. I think at this point in my life, I write stuff that I'm happy with. And it took a long time to get here.
Nice.
I really liked it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for playing.
Okay, well, I think that we have our next developer queued
Wait,
up
hold
here.
on. Kari, you have one more option. Would you like to play again?
Oh my goodness.
That is slightly cruel, I will say.
No, thanks. I actually left the server on Parsec.
To save yourself the difficult choice. I understand.
Play again literally just resets the game. It reloads the scene in Unity.
Well, Lane, you've been in the behind the scenes. You've been queuing up our next game and player. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. We have Good Time Haver, and he's going to come on and he's going to play Super Trader 64 by Cinnabon.
Okay, brilliant. Kari, Jake, you're welcome to stick around if you'd like, but don't feel that you have to. More voices and more thoughts is always lovely at this event.
I'm also set up on Parsec, so if you need another
brilliant.
tester, we're good to go.
All right,
Oh,
so we'll wait for. I did accept the friend request from Good Time Haver, so we'll wait for the request. Go ahead and send a connection request to Icebox, and then I can grant it for you. In the meantime, somebody else should fill this dead air.
And just a technical question. First of all, do I add them to the event stage, or do they now have permission to hop over there themselves?
Lane, if you have given them the event presenter role, they can join the event stage of their own volition. If they are stubborn and don't want to, you can drag them right in there.
Can I do that? That's amazing. I think I'll go ahead and do that.
I gotta say, I've learned a lot about Discord in the past 7 months.
Hey, welcome.
Hello.
And Cinnabon, this is your game.
Yes.
Brilliant. Still no request yet. So, Jake, why don't you go ahead and race to make that request, and we can get you playing first.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this thing that's coming up, I think of all the games that I played today in preparation for this. Like in terms of the most fun value, I think it was this one. I fell in love with the mechanic as soon as I realized what was going on.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So what was the process, Cinnabon, of coming up with the mechanic in this game?
Okay, so basically it was just me and one other programmer, and I knew going into this game jam, I was like, okay, I want to work on my 3D model skills. I want to try and get like as much done as possible.
Yeah.
And we heard about the jam theme, and the first thing I thought of was how annoying it is to try and find something when your purse or your backpack. And I was just like, that is such an annoying thing. We really need to like make something that feels like that.
Okay, Gus has joined us again. Gus, could you say something to see if we can hear? I'm sorry. My bad. This is Good Time Hammer.
Reported some mic troubles earlier, so we can. Either of our two potential players, our Good Time Haver or Jake, if you can, whichever one of you can access Icebox first, gets to play. This game is gamepad preferred, I believe, but you can play with mouse and keyboard.
Yep, I played it again quickly with mouse and keyboard just to make sure that it worked properly, and it does.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, my speedrunner's impulse is a half and half preferred. I really like the movement with the controller, but as soon as I was doing the main game mechanic, I switched over to mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Looks like Jake got here first. Would you like mouse and keyboard or gamepad? I have to define it specifically for you.
I don't have a mouse and keyboard or a gamepad for my laptop.
All right, then I will. There you go. All right, you should have access now. You should be able to press any key to continue.
Oh, this is cute. I do not know what the controls are.
Just to let you know, it's WASD to move, and it's left click to rotate the camera, and right click to rotate the camera, and then it's spacebar to interact.
Okay.
And you can hit escape to get out of this menu, I remember.
Yeah. If you right-click on this menu, you can like shuffle the items.
So, I think the dog is looking for a tennis ball. Okay. Okay, there's some apples over there. I see some apples on trees. That seems reasonable. How do I get more?
Oh, seeing some really good commentary from the chat. Yeah. Like immediately, I feel like I'm playing Quest 64. This is so perfect.
Okay, so left and right click, rotate the camera. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, it's got that real C stick vibe.
No. C buttons.
C button. Thank you. Wow, what a flub.
What,
I
what are
am
the-
tired of people 4 to 6 years younger than me keeping talking about the C stick when what they
Making
mean
that
is C buttons.
I'm sorry. Deep cut, Quest 64. That is a classic cure for insomnia, sir. That is not a deep cut.
Hey, this person only wants. Oh, that's not an orange, is it?
Graphs kind of remind me of Animal Crossing.
It's the ears.
Wait
Okay,
a
I'm gonna
second,
be.
that's
I don't know
something
where I'm going or what I'm supposed to do here.
I'm gonna help you out just a little bit. If you're standing in front of someone, I think you can press X to interact with them. Or your mouse and keyboard, right?
Yep.
Try the E button in front of them to
E goes into
start-
my backpack. So I have an orange.
Yeah, I'm not sure that E is wrong. Like, oh yeah, definitely did not end up interacting with that person. Huh.
No, because it's supposed to bring up a separate menu. Try spacebar instead.
Oh,
There we go. Pause out.
Yes.
Okay, that is some really satisfying
Yes.
visual and audio feedback.
Now
Oh
I
yeah,
have
so good.
a bunch of
Also, that
apples.
little like gimme that sort of gesture that they have, I love that, and I hate it too. When I can't fish something out in time.
You want tennis balls? I don't think I have any of this. I have a bunch of apples though.
So many apples.
Oh, I spot someone around the corner who could use those.
Oh, so Cinnabon, can you explain? There's a like timer in the top left sometimes. Is that like shared among all people, or is that just for that one interaction?
It's just for the one interaction. It's supposed to, and in most cases does, reset the timer for every single interaction that you have. We wanted to add an added level of stress, like the person will get impatient if you're taking too long to get the stuff out of the bag.
Can I make a gimme gesture?
Definitely feeling that.
The gimme works really well for like explaining this is the touch target, without actually having any UI to indicate that's what it is. I think the timer might imply something else. I wonder if I think going forward, more expressive animations is a big ask, but
Oh no, there are tomatoes and apples, and they look
I
almost
know.
the same.
Oh, it's so
That's
great.
proper
Oh, things are
challenge.
gonna get bad here.
I'm looking for easy interactions, and I'm running out.
Oh, by the way, potential spoiler, but question for you: does this game have a end state? Are we working toward a specific goal?
There is a win state, but if I remember correctly, the programmer messed up the values for how many trades there should be.
Oh, okay.
So there's a functional bug that just makes it like astronomically high number, so you don't actually get to it. But I
Okay.
think
that feels like a
most people
feature though,
get-
because then you can just trade with these cute animals for all eternity, and I don't see that's not a losing situation.
But I think it would be very exciting if you had let us imagine had like some sort of a time limit or something to see how rich you could get in that amount of time. I would definitely play the game a lot.
it would be nice to have like a UI thing that says, okay, this is how many of each item that you have, because
Oh,
the
I had
longer
to do
you
this
play,
again.
the more ridiculous it gets.
Oh, but this is like perfectly on theme because I feel like
I
sometimes
agree.
you don't know what's in your purse, right?
Mhm. If
Okay.
you're not seeing the items, you can hit the right mouse button, I think, to shuffle through and like cycle through what you've got. Because after a while, you just can't see everything.
Yeah, I like that. Oh no, I thought I had. Oh, good, there's a second chord. Sentences I've never said out loud. There's
It's
eggplants. In
Romeo.
here? No one even wants eggplants. Why do I have this in my background? I'm playing as a hoarder.
Oh, so I've noticed that you can drop stuff on the ground. Does that actually do anything, or will you pick them back up when you leave?
Happy birthday to the ground.
You pick them back up when you leave.
Oh, no.
You used it as a way to kind of like frantically throw things out if you know you're looking for something in particular.
Yes. Okay, but you never discard them forever. Gotcha.
No, you don't actually discard them. We didn't want to make it too easy.
No. That wouldn't be within the Game Jam theme.
Exactly.
I'm starting to get to the point where I'm regretting my initial instinct, which was, oh, this is really easy. I have plenty of time. I don't have plenty of time. This is getting distinctly harder. Is that an apple or a tomato? That's a tomato. Shuffle.
Well, that shuffle is good.
This is becoming chaos. No, I had it. No,
I still want to see somebody make one of these, like, I want 8 of this trades. I still haven't been able to do one of those.
Ah. No, that's a tomato. They're like, held it in their hand and threw it on their gun. I don't want that. That was close. Okay, I think I have tomatoes pretty accessible.
Well, we were talking in Jake's game about like the tiny things you can do to say a lot to the player, and I think there's so much personality in these characters, even though there was a limited capacity to have like tons of animation or moving or dialogue or any of that. It just I feel like I know the rich inner life of all of these people.
And they're all jerks.
They want what they want, man.
I don't see any of these animals farming anything. Oh crap! I forgot what they want. What do they want? Give me half.
Yeah. That like little frustrated gesture that they do to you, considering you provide everything for them.
No, they want apples. They want apples. That's not an apple. I don't even know what that was. It a pill bottle? Am I playing as a drug peddler now?
Oh no!
Oh, we have milk. Ooh.
Nice high fives there. I liked that.
Oh, it's milk.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, no! Oh no!
Oh wait, if you try to high five them with nothing in your hand, do they just like too slow?
I don't think I have this
How do I
stuff.
exit? Oh. I might have 3 potatoes. I'm assuming those are potatoes and not rocks.
So there's no indication of what you get when you complete a successful trade.
It's potatoes.
Correct.
Okay.
You kind of see it at the end of the interaction, but
not before you choose to start the interaction. Okay.
Right.
Is that something that what you'd want that to be a little bit? I mean, how the reason it is the way it is in this version, notwithstanding, is that something you'd want in the game, or do you like the idea that you're running around and you actually don't know what you'll get if you take a gamble that maybe this will get what I need because this person is likely to have whatever?
I think it would be a good indicator because we had some people who played it early that ran into issues where like they didn't know they had tennis balls. So they were continuing to like play the game until they found what they had, and you don't know how many you have.
Yeah.
In some cases, unless you know to check in that escape menu.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely like to add some kind of indicator.
My timer did not reset for this one.
Hard mode.
No.
Go
Oh
quick.
man. Yeah, this cat has had it with you.
I don't have that stuff. I would like it if you were only able to initiate trades that you have the stuff. Because I think the frustration is in searching through your bag, not in realizing a few seconds in, wait a second, I don't actually have these materials.
I can agree with that.
I want the ability to have like some momentum with what I do so that I could just like fling stuff out of the bag like a maniac.
I mean, this isn't Paperboy.
Another button. So there's the grab button, there's the shuffle button. Just give me a throw button. I click it once and I toss that thing out of the bag.
There you go. That would be good, actually.
It'd be
These
satisfying.
cats that want one thing are just the best people.
I don't know if you'd want the throw button to, throw your way to a successful trade, but if you just want to get something out of the bag you don't think you need, there's some risk reward there, right? You're risking not having it later when you do need it, and the reward is that the bag is easier to look through now. I think that would be a pretty interesting dynamic.
Nope, not that.
I think it's funny that you go for the cheaper transactions when I would play I would try to go for the most amount of something just to get more stuff out of my bag.
Oh, that's a good call. I didn't think about that. I thought, can I do this or not? Oh, I don't have this stuff. Oh, actually,
Oh, no.
I take back my old statement. Trying to do a thing and realizing you don't have that stuff is actually, I like that feeling. Because that seems like it's the design here, right? Is to become frustrated with yourself for not being able to find the things that you're looking for. And not being able to remember what you have is part of that frustration. Oh, eggplants. I haven't turned those in yet.
Just the chaos of the bag it sells the idea so well that you, as the embodying the character, you're like, why aren't I more organized? And that's such a cool feeling.
I have diagnosed ADHD. Like, this game is very real for me.
Oh no.
What is that? Do I have those?
Those are eggs, I believe.
I don't think I have enough.
I think looking at this now, I think it would be more fun, even if we kept everything the same, to have the items that the player or the villager gives you to drop on top. Because I think they're coming in from the bottom, and that's what's causing some confusion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Plus,
I did
it
have enough.
would be really fun to see a bunch of stress when you see like 17 carrots or something just falling your way.
Yeah, I see the new items pop in from the bottom, and then I'm just imagining they're being thrown in from the top because, like, you know, it's that I know that's the intent, you know.
Right.
No, the bag of holding, the dimension it's connected to, is just growing larger.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. There's like a big void underneath there.
I try not to think about the endless voids to which I'm connected. Oh, this person's pissed. It remembers your timer.
Oh wow.
Yikes.
Oh, that's a great hand. I like that comes out.
So that wasn't a bug that you faced earlier. It's that you have, if you fail, like you don't have what they need, you're still using up their time.
Oh god, that's real. Individuals have a certain fixed amount of patience with you.
That's a real selling point for you changing your mind earlier. That feeling is actually it's a risk you take, and it actually has a cost. It's not just the time you spend doing it. It's the currency of clock ticks.
There. That's yep. Yay.
Music's great. Oh, I love that little thank you gesture. That was very cute.
Do I have... I might have tomatoes. There's a bunch of tomatoes I can get rid of.
This dog is like, oh, I didn't want anything. I just needed someone to be able to find me out here.
I get that. Yep. The paw rifling around reminds me of the pizza scene in Night in the Woods.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yay!
I really love infinitely long arms in video games. Like, it's kind of a trope, actually, and I just love it. It always feels so right, and it doesn't exist in that same way in any other medium. It just makes perfect sense. Like, you don't question the logic of it, and it doesn't only exist in wacky environments either.
There's one moment here where it looks just a little bit silly, but I totally agree with you. Where like the camera transitions down and you can see the like arm pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it does so much good for the good stuff for the game that you immediately forgive it.
Mm-hmm.
Cinnabon, could you tell us a little bit about like what it was like putting this thing together? How was the jam for you?
I was surprised. This was my first collab jam. I've done a couple very small, like, solo things with mixed success, but this one was the one that I was really, like, determined to get things done. And we chose this Nintendo 64 kind of style early on because I think low poly is easy and very, like, approachable to do. And we ended up getting the design very quickly, and I think I did all the models and textures in about 14 hours or something. It's one dog model and one cat model, and I did a bunch of different texture palette swaps for them. And then the programmer basically jumbled them up, so every time you play, it's different villagers.
Did you do the animations as well?
Yes, I did. Yeah, all the animations.
Okay, I just think that they add like so much.
I agree.
What was the feeling like toward the end of the jam? Did you guys have to rush a lot under the gun?
I think we both kind of had a very cohesive agreement on how it was supposed to look and how it was supposed to feel, so there wasn't a whole lot of a disconnect there, thank goodness. But near the end, we didn't have nearly as much time to playtest because we ran into a couple of issues with testing the length, and sometimes the items would vanish from the bag and small stuff like that we would have to fix. But on the whole, I think it was pretty successful.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that the scope and the conversation about what you want going into it are so important. Yeah, like as you mentioned, I think the only bad game jam experiences really come when there's just a lot of group dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
There's this unique feeling that I'm getting that I really appreciate of like, I can keep trying with one of these villagers to find their stuff, even if I don't have it. And I can feel my time with them running out as they run out of patience for me. Or it's like, it's my responsibility to know what I'm capable of and what I'm not. And I'm like testing their patience by trying over and over again. And then it gets restored every time you come through. You're like, okay, well, we're good. We're fine now. I like that. I like that a lot. I feel like that all the time. ADHD stuff is very real, and this feels very ADHD. Even though it's this very like light, cheerful, happy thing. Oh no.
Yeah, it's an extremely resonant theme, and I think it's very impressive how much different emotionality you get out of so few elements. I don't know. I was thinking like, if you wanted to expand on this, Cinnabon, what would you do?
I'm not really sure because I was thinking about it earlier today, and I felt like it was a pretty concise idea. I'm not really sure how I would expand it because I feel like it kind of says what I wanted it to say. But I mean, I'm definitely open to any sort of thoughts anyone else might have on that.
It looks like I might have lost parsec access.
Oh no.
It appears to be frozen for me.
Here, let me take over the mouse for a bit. I will. It does appear like that's what's happening. We could start it again, unless you feel like it's a good stopping point. I feel like I could watch this forever.
Well, I think he's pretty much gotten as much out of it as necessary.
Well, let's leave this music going on for a bit, and let's just do a little chat to wrap it up. Jake, what are your sort of overall impressions, other than what you've shared so far?
I think I pretty much covered it. I really appreciate that, like, this game and my game for the exact same jam both ended up being mental health games from completely different perspectives on things. There's a lot of palette to work with to get a message across. Like, you don't have to be this dark, frustrated atmosphere, even if what you're feeling is frustration. Like, that can still be conveyed with a smile, so to speak. I really like that. I like that the tone still works for the message of the game.
So I'm left thinking that the one thing that like I might do if I wanted to expand this a little bit would be to just give the user a thing that they're working towards. So perhaps have as an ending, you might have like a banquet or something, and in order to do that, you have to provide a certain amount of each ingredient. out of your bag within a certain amount of time. I wonder how you would feel about that as something that's sort of like a capstone experience to the game.
That would be interesting. That would give a little bit more use to all the items you collect throughout the experience. For sure, because you're just looking for a bar of chocolate, which nobody seems to have because they're all cats and dogs. So.
Is there an end state for this game, or is it you?
There
keep
is.
playing?
You can, but it's hard to get because the items you receive are random. So there's like a chance that you might never get the tennis ball until 40 or 50 trades later.
Ooh.
Got it.
Okay, so maybe it's a mercy that we cut out here.
Yeah, probably. Because even when I was going back over it, I stopped halfway through.
Well, we have a kind of a crowded stage now. Do we think it's time for Fingeance? Lane?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that.
Well, Fingeance is a 4-player co-op game, and we have enough people in chat now if everyone wants to play. It is gamepad required. Is that right, Lane?
So you can technically mouse and keyboard it, but you'll have a better time on gamepad.
Okay, well, I think some people have said that that's not in their capacity now, so let's just see if we can get a roster of at least 2 to 3 folks. 4 if
Let
we
me
can.
check my PS4 controller, see if that'll work.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
And Kari, Cinnabon, would you like to play Fingeance?
Yeah, let me just get everything set up here. I gotta plug in my...
Sure. I can actually get onto the server.
Cool. Yeah, we will accommodate a little bit of fiddly around and nonsense because that's allowed. So no stress as we try to get it all up and running. I do know that there are some people in chat right now who I believe either have some experience with Fingeance and would like to give it another go, or maybe have heard tale of its brilliance and would like to give it a try. So go ahead and make yourself known, and Lane and I can work your way onto the stage and into the game if you'd like.
Well, speaking of which, we've got Good Time Haver right here in the stage. Welcome. Hey,
Yeah.
you now.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was, just having weird. I just had to like close a bunch of stuff and open it back up, but now I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to do that with Discord at least once a day. Dude, it's great to have you here.
Yeah.
First of all, may I ask, how did you hear about Twin Cities Game Dev?
Somebody recommended I talked to Marty a while ago, and he's obviously he's involved. So this is I was also at, was it just last week that there were a couple of talks happening.
Oh, a couple of spectacular talks with Ty and Charles. Okay, so tell me, just gonna opine for a bit here. How do these streams get like 30 views and yet we have like world-class people talking? Like, it's just insane to me how good these talks have been lately.
Yeah, they were. It was great. I believe I was there for the whole thing, but that was the first event I've virtually attended. But yeah.
All right, well, fantastic to have you here. And Mark, how are we doing on the technical side? Are we ready for people to start trying to get in?
Yep. If anybody is friends with IGGATC on Parsec, feel free to make your request to Icebox now. If you're not friended yet, go ahead and fix that for yourself. Looks like we've got 2 of our players. We got 3 players in, which is good. That's enough for a show. So we'll give it another minute, see if anyone else wants to pop in. Otherwise, I can play 4th player, or we can do a 3-player match, so it's not so crowded.
So technically speaking as a developer who wants this game to look good, one thing I've noticed about Parsec is it's darn good at 3 players, but I sort of feel that I can hear the creaking when it gets to 4 players.
I think that's correct,
Totally satisfying with me.
Good point. All right, so we've got our 3 players involved. They've all got gamepad access. And now, sometimes with Parsec, just fair warning, it goes that we want to have everybody connected before we start the game, so I am going to actually quit the game and start it over just so we don't deal with that problem. I say that now, jinxing it, and we will in fact face it, no doubt.
Oh my God, Charles, could we kick Dark A's TG from the chat, please? Dealt with that for far too long.
All right, anybody, I believe, can press A to start. Now, Lane, you have some new difficulty settings you've been looking to test, so I believe you might need my mouse control to set that up for you.
You have a special job, sir. Yep.
Mhm.
When we get into the campaign here, as soon as somebody presses the lovely A button, we're gonna slide our way over into the difficulty selection screen. Man, these people were so good at pressing A second ago. Okay, cool. Use new difficulties. And then since we have 3 brand new players, we don't want to do Corruption 11. That would be a bad time, Bears, for people. Let's go, standard, classic Vengeance. And then since new difficulties are on, all of those difficulties up at the top, they're all fake, so feel free to click any of them. The difficulties up at, go ahead and click on hard.
I know, I'm just teasing. Okay. And now this is, you've been testing Fingeance for many years. Players who are new to it should know that just is a way to short circuit the existing difficulty structure for a brand new thing you're testing. So tell us about that, Lane.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we have for a long time been developing this game, which is a shoot 'em up, a genre that is notoriously extremely unforgiving. And usually these games will be sort of very short. Like the game will be like 30 minutes long or less. But the challenge and where you get your money's worth out of the game is that you play and play and play and play and play until you're practically perfect at it, and then you manage to complete the game. And don't hit start yet. I think that we're waiting on one more person here, hypothetically.
Actually, I don't have a gaming pad, so why don't you guys go ahead and play as the third person?
Sure. Yeah, you got it. Mark, do you want to jump in?
Yes. Why don't I... Here, Kari, I'll kick you out of Parsec
Okay.
here. Oh, looks like you took care of that.
Yep.
I will go ahead and throw up my local gamepad. I will not suffer the however many milliseconds lag. So if I'm doing well, that is why.
It's pure skill.
Now, because we've changed, this is an interesting question, technically for you, Lane. Because we've changed our controller configuration here at this screen, what is going to happen?
So, as we learned from Charles's wonderful talk last week on this very channel, Rewired is going to figure it out, because Rewired does that.
All right.
Now that's my pitch, and I'm saying that with a lot of confidence, as if I know it's true. But I'm just really hoping that that's true.
Oh, and now I can choose my character here.
Okay, great.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm a bit behind because I'm just watching on Twitch.
Where's my beloved Gwen? Already on stage, I guess.
Yeah. Can you jump in by pressing A here on this character slot?
Yeah, I was just having a difficulty deciding who to pick.
Okay, yeah. If Gwen has been denied you, then I apologize. I think that.
I mean, why even bother at this point?
Really though. Though Charles has been testing out Finn as a tank, and he was not really designed to be that way, to be like a defensive character. But he's done a really good job of proving to us that it can be done.
Now, this is a refrain when I give you feedback about Fingeance, but I've been playing Finn for 4 years. I don't know how comfortable I am with you changing that character that much.
Oh well. Okay. So this is where we get into the other aspects of the game. So the whole difficulty thing is the complexity and the skill that we want to test in this game is, yes, there is some roguelike. Yes, there is some bullet hell here. You obviously don't want to get hit by the orange stuff that's moving from the right. That's a big part of the game. But what we want you to do is put people in situations of increasing complexity and difficulty as the game goes on, and what we want you guys to be incentivized to do is to strategize as a team, figure out the right tactics in the battle, and then after the fight is over, you're going to go into a shop where you develop your characters, And what we want to do is create good decisions that let you figure out how best to strengthen your team, synergize with each other, and make it to the end. And the difficulty system that we're working on right now starts you off with a pretty gentle on-ramp. This right now, at this classic Vengeance level, is probably the easiest the game has ever been. But it'll very quickly start getting ramped up, and those decisions you make are going to start mattering more and more.
So we're now at the store. Maybe you can walk us through that a little bit, because I'm the only longtime player here in the crew, right? I lost track of who's playing right now.
Yeah, I'm. This is my first time playing. Yeah. So, am I only able to buy something if it's green? Is that
Ooh, okay, yeah. This is really good UX feedback for us right now. But just to give you an answer on that, so these are color coded, but it's not really so the green ones are sort of support, recovery, survival parts, and the red ones are I'm going to do more damage. I'm going to rip stuff up.
Great.
Yeah, and each time you complete a level, you'll get one of 3 perks totally for free, and then you'll be able to spend some money and upgrade yourself by pumping up stats, or you can see Wraith form down there. If you save up a little bit, you can purchase a new gadget to use. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I figured out that my my right trigger, this thing happens. And is this a character specific thing? Is that something I should be saving? Okay.
All character specific. Which one are you, by the way?
I'm the orange one up at the top. I forget Finn. Am I Finn?
Okay. Yeah, you're the orange one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you have possibly the most important ability on the team.
Okay.
You can use your left trigger to do a big shield on everybody. You end up finding any situations where there's just like a solid wall of bullets. You're going to use that so that you can break through.
Okay.
But yeah, your right gadget just amps up your firepower for a few seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can sort of customize your character to become somebody who can take a ton of punishment and just stand out and provide safety for everybody, or you can ramp up your damage. Right now, this thing has a ton of damage.
Yeah.
And I guess question for you folks, just that thing that you destroyed way back, if you remember a few seconds ago, there was this treasure chest thing, and you blew it up and it exploded and everything got dark. So I guess did it occur, was it obvious that thing by virtue of being destroyed caused the game to be affected in some way?
I was personally I didn't really I think I was still kind of paying attention to finding my footing in the game. I wasn't really sure what caused that to happen.
Totally. Yeah. I'm kind of wondering, is it best to have that sort of thing? I mean, we obviously don't need to explain it. The game still works just fine. But do we need to slow down and explain what that sort of thing is, or do we just let players figure that out by playing the game a bunch? Ooh. Oh, Gil, you beautiful human being. Nice job.
Oh, I did.
So the mechanic here is if everybody dies at the same time, is dead at the same time, then the run stops.
So in that gauntlet there, when I was the only one left and had just a sliver, it was pretty nail biting. It's one of my favorite parts about this game is, I think you guys had these discussions a long time ago of how fair is it that you could just keep going on and on as long as someone's alive, but it is such an enjoyable mechanic.
Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was I don't know if I missed an indicator for how long it was until I was coming back, or was there?
Good question. Good question. Yes, it is subtle, but a thing does pop up at the bottom that has a second by second countdown, and you'll know it'll start like flashing when you're
Okay.
about
Oh
ready.
yeah. Okay.
Good question, though. I mean, I feel like one of the things that we're considering at this point is how much onboarding to really do before we move on. But I think that something like something like that flashing really big the very first time it ever comes on would be great to really draw people's eyes down there.
I think that also with a game like this, I'm actually, this is my first time using Parsec, and I'm kind of amazed at how well it works.
Dude, it's so great.
Yeah, I feel like every once in a while I'm like losing a few frames or something, and in a game like this, that can be like really, kind of, it's not what you want.
We've had moments testing it where like we're in a really stressful situation late in the game, and then the like host's computer lags a little bit, and it's just the worst. Everybody hates that, but like, it is probably the best we have, and it is crazy good for how simple it is to use. I was gonna say I don't know if you picked this up from the text in the store, but whoever is Sparky, the yellow character, you can hit the X button or the X button in order to use the part that you just picked up, that shield.
Yep.
Okay.
I have not needed it thus far.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, and as you mentioned, Mark, like it is no end of balancing challenge that like in multiplayer you can rely on other people. Currently, the enemies just have a ton more health and do more damage in multiplayer. But like, yeah, it's really tough to get over that mechanical thing. But you're right, like it definitely pays. And I think that the way that we've sort of landed is just single player is a much more difficult experience. And I think that we're fine with that. Like, I think that if you're somebody who's going to be playing a game like this in single player, you're probably signing on for a bigger challenge.
Yeah. And you also, I mean, it's not just the game that communicates that; it's that everything about it, like just going down to the title screen and the fact that the characters are so different, tells the player this is best experienced with pals.
Yes.
And that's before you even start.
Thank goodness that we have Parsec, because just like a couch co-op game that has no network multiplayer in 2020. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What a great timing.
Well, I mean, maybe you'll get lucky and you won't release it for another year or two.
Oh yeah. Well, knowing us, there is a strong chance of that.
Ooh.
But I remember a certain audience member that we have right here promising on Nice Games Club. I forget which episode, but didn't somebody say that it was coming out in 2020, or else he would like lose all his dignity or something like that?
I believe I did hear that, and I was like, whoa, and then he was like, no, it's gonna happen, and I was like, all right, I'll see you in December.
Don't worry, we've got 40 days.
So is my...
Go ahead.
Oh, so I was gonna ask if the tanking stat, is that how much damage I've blocked with the shield ability?
That is three things. I mean, number one, if you just eat a bullet with your hull, that counts as tanking. So some people have been like, oh, this is the junk stat. It's how much damage I've taken. I don't want this to be high. But as you caught on, your shield contributes to that. And then if you're a character who has an ability that deletes bullets, or who can summon a pet that can tank for you, all of that counts towards your tanking stat. So sometimes characters will have like 10,000 tanking just because they've managed to absorb so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me ask you, this piercing rounds that I'm looking at, I can fire piercing bullets, and I guess I don't know which enemies have armor versus which just have a lot of health. Am I supposed to know that? Because I mean, presumably all gadgets or all upgrades are good, but when I look at that and the cost fires 15% slower, I can't do the napkin math on that.
And so like I guess what this means is if you are hitting two enemies,
Mhm.
then you'll increase your damage by 70%. But like it does make you weaker against bosses.
Oh, I
With,
see.
with regard
Okay.
to, with regard to armor, yeah, like that's the thing is like we call it this, but with the way it's presented in game is it's an enemy that flashes white when you hit it and makes a little ting sound to let you know that you're not doing damage to it.
Okay.
So yeah, like there are times when that is really good. When you're in the kelp forest, there are a lot of enemies that will like just block you, and that's
Yeah.
very valuable. But,
So this
but
does
we
feel like a strategic choice rather than picking from 3 gifts under the tree.
Right. And when you are in this shop, one thing that we did is the background tells you what environment you're about to go into. So sometimes you'll want to choose around that.
Oh,
around what
sure.
about that.
I will say, and I think this is just a choice you make, but from having as a longtime playtester of this game, I've never felt like I needed to make strategic choices when picking augments. I always felt like anything I got would give me a benefit. It's just choosing the best benefit. That does reduce. There's more depth in strategic choices, but I'm not. It might just be that I'm not used to it, but I don't know if I like it in this game.
The strategic choice.
Yeah, like having to make the strategic choice.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I mean, I think that it's definitely the big sacred cow for the three of us making this, simply because when you go up to a difficulty where it's like really like perfect for you, like it's extremely challenging, that's when those things start mattering a lot.
Right.
Like we've been trying to like tune the top difficulties so that they're like ones where like the developers can beat them like 40% of the time or something like that, so that we really have to like lean on every advantage that we can, and that's when that stuff matters a lot. And I think that maybe one of the differences is like at least for those of us who are designing the game, that's like the hater, like that's what we want. I think that a game that makes us like talk to each other and figure out what each of us is good at is exactly what we want out of this kind of game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my only reaction to that is I think that's good. I guess just the distinction is between making the better choice versus making a potentially risky choice. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Just has a slightly different feel. It's kind of like 6 of one, half of the other to some degree. It's like an expression of the design rather than necessarily a me saying it shouldn't be the aim you're going for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we've tried to like reduce the number of choices that really promote that feeling, and what we found is any choice that has more than opportunity cost in it, where there is an active penalty for selecting a particular augment, those are the ones that get players to say, I'm not really sure that I like that. So we've been using it extremely sparingly.
Sure.
And like that's one where the payoff is kind of confusing. For example, having a piercing shot, I don't know how good that is.
Yeah.
That's one where that feeling is at its worst. And so I think that what we would want to do is have more of them be like, so Finn selected the pummeler cannon thing, and that's just like, if you can get in close, this thing is going to double your damage, but you're lower while you're shooting it. And so like that's one where I think that it creates a more exciting moment than I'm paying a big price, I'm shooting slower, but I don't know what I'm getting out of it, which I think feels worse.
Yeah. And ultimately, there are games where the idea of something that feels bad, but then you realize the value of later. Like there are types of games where that's a plus, because it discourages newer players from engaging with mechanics they're not ready for.
I have not thought about that at all.
I mean, that's not the way I like to design games, but there is value to that, and that's not something I would love for Fingeance. But like, if that's a direction you wanted to go, it's valid, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested in sort of like talking with, as we've been talking on the side a little bit, about the developers of Civilization, because they certainly wield confusion like a cudgel. Like there's a lot of new players, and yet they still create this addicting experience for people. I would love to know more about how that is done and how they look at confusion as a state that players go through.
So one tactic that just occurred to me was a little while ago. Was after I'm forgetting what it's called, but we blew up the thing that made the screen go black, and there was kind of like some downtime.
Yeah.
And I had very low health. It occurred to me afterwards that I should have just tried to go and die right there, so that I would have respawned with more health by the time we got to a more active section. Is that would that have worked? And is that something that people have done? Is that a thing you
absolutely.
see? Okay, yeah.
So that's certainly a thing that people do, and just so you know, like the value of that is actually pretty dang strong, especially because you've seen the death timers are not very long.
Yeah.
So one thing that we explicitly do is as you when you beat the game, you'll unlock a new difficulty, and the difficulty will come with a perk. But the perk is kind of ironic because they're all bad. Like the game gets harder and harder the more difficulties you go. If you played like Slay the Spire, Monster Train, it uses that sort of ascension model from those. And so what happens is as you go through the different difficulties, you'll hit points where it's like all of a sudden, like you are much more strongly penalized for dying. So that like right now it's like 8 seconds that you're dead, and then the second time you die, it'll take you 12 and then 16 and so on. But then like as you go up through difficulties, you'll hit a moment where like you die, and all of a sudden like the time you spend dead doubles, and it's much more punishing, and you're much more cautious with throwing away early lives.
I have a very specific piece of feedback.
Yeah, please.
I don't like that shields have health. I think shields should be a Boolean state. You either have a shield or you don't. Because I'm already paying attention to my health, and I'm also paying attention to my cooldowns. I'm paying attention to my projectiles. I'm paying attention to enemy projectiles. There's so much information on the screen.
Yes.
I don't have the capacity to check my shield health to see how I'm doing.
I kind of am having a similar thing, and it reminds me, I play Overwatch sometimes, but I'm not good at it. And when I'm playing with friends who are good at it, I feel like keeping track of all of these numbers and kind of making the calculations of like how, am I using my abilities at the right time? I don't know, but it also, then it feels better when you, it gives you the skill ceiling is kind of higher.
So like right now I have a shield. I think I can use it every 12 seconds. So I've got a pretty good feel for when it's available. What I don't have a good feel for is like how much damage I can soak up, partially because I don't know, like you said 200. What the hell is 200? There's bullets. Yeah. How do I know how much value each bullet is? That's too much information for me to handle. I just want to know that it's available and I can use it.
And so now I am kind of understanding that the cooldowns are like at the front and the back of my ship, which I think is, I probably wouldn't want information anywhere else on the screen because I'm just like looking at my ship the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. We had it at the bottom of the screen for a while, but just nobody used it.
Yeah, bottom of the screen is a bad choice.
At the same time, we definitely have heard a lot of people for the first like 10 minutes of the game think that that's some sort of physical shield or blocker.
Yes. Yeah.
Very natural. And so I guess I'm wondering, like, is there what could we do to make that less obvious, like more obvious that it's a piece of the UI that's representing your cooldown? I don't know, like maybe feel free to go ahead, fire off anything.
That's definitely a tough one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, I'll just take over here while you guys are struggling with this. Though you're kicking butt, dude. This is great. Nice work. But yeah, like I think that the like shield thing is something that we as developers need to hear every once in a while because we've been like the primary playtesters on the game, and of course shields having a variable value is a huge design lever that we can pull to say like this part is more or less powerful, or you can punch through more or less amount of enemies. But like is that worth it for the onboarding, like, or the numbers fatigue that players experience?
I mean, personally, I don't think so. I think there's plenty of interesting space on how long the shield lasts and how often it's available. I don't think you need that granular like HP level. I don't know that players are gonna pick up on that. Like if you said my shield is 50% stronger, I have no idea how many bullets that allows me to weather. But if you said it lasts 50% longer, I'm like, okay, that goes from 2 seconds to 3 seconds. I have shorthand for that in my head.
Gotcha. If I recall correctly, like I think we had shield as a boolean, and I will not like sort of hang my hat on us having made the correct decision there, because it was certainly just something that made our lives easier. But what we sort of ran into is there's a bit of a pressure in this kind of game to want to be able to use your gadgets a lot. Like you feel more like a unique character if you're able to use your special abilities more often. And that put us into a tricky situation where if you have true invulnerability on the shields, and if you have enough shields characters, you could essentially do the conga line formation and just rotate people around and block everything. And that was, I think, a big piece of what made us make the decision to do it the way that we did. And again, not totally sure that that's worthwhile, or if we couldn't design around it being the other way. But shields were just such a useful design like conceit that we ended up using it a whole heck of a lot.
Oh, I love shields just in general. I really like for this particular character, I can time my shields and do that.
Oh yeah,
like that feels really good. But
worth double checking on if it's really necessary. That's a really, really good piece of feedback.
Yeah, it's the deflection that feels good. It's not the fact that I'm absorbing X amount of damage. It's like, I can aggressively use my shield because this is an aggressive character.
Another 50 in the bank.
Also, I would say for the front and back, or offensive and defensive cooldowns, having them fade to nothing is not necessarily great affordance. I want some indicator. Okay, it's available now.
Yes. I would. That's one instance where I do kind of wish it was just like a number. Cooldown.
I wonder if we could incorporate some sort of like a number or a symbol that you'd be able to see. One thing that I really love is I don't know if any of you have been playing Hades at all since it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But like one thing that I really like about that is, so their UI takes up a certain amount of the screen, but then when a thing is off cooldown, like when your Wrath is available, it just like shoots up and it takes like a third of the screen with a big flash just for a couple frames, and then it goes away. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if when your gadget was off of cooldown, if there was like a big like flashlight just off on one side of your ship, you would know no matter where you were looking that thing was ready.
Mm-hmm. Destiny does the same thing. When your super is charged in the very center of the screen, it gives you like, hey, your super's up.
Oh yeah. We should really pull from other games more often.
You could also have stuff. So the very bottom of the screen, you can keep that, and it can be a visual. I can just look at the bottom of the screen. Is my cooldown off or not?
Ooh.
That like can be available to you. It doesn't have to be either or.
Yeah, I mean, we do have that stuff still in the game. I suppose at least like if a player liked that stuff, you could have something in the option menu that let you turn that on.
I don't know if I should be picking health or armor, because armor gives you more effective health based on what you've got, and health just gives you more health.
Yeah, I would say that like my typical decision making on that is that armor is very good if you have a lot of healing in the team, whereas like health is generally more bang for the buck if you don't.
So one completely unrelated to everything we've talked about piece of feedback is the rumble on my controller is like very intense on a lot of that stuff, and I have the I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but like it's from that company 8-Bit Do or 8-Bit Dough, which
really?
I don't know.
I was gonna guess it was a Xbox One controller, because that is a long-standing Fingeance. Because I believe.
Oh really?
I believe the developers use 360 controllers. Am I wrong?
Oh yeah. We use that in Xbox One and PS4,
Okay.
but mostly
Okay.
360.
Yeah, I think the Xbox One Rumble is much stronger, and that must be the standard for newer
Yes.
third-party controllers. Then, as a
Yeah.
result.
Yes, and as soon as I played it with Xbox One, I was like, we need to go through and I need to audit all of the rumble in this freaking game.
It's especially frustrating because on PC, there's a lot of APIs that just don't know the difference between those two controllers. Like it's an X input device, end of story. And so you're kind of like, well, what am I gonna do?
Oh,
You have to test for. Oh wow.
That was punishing.
Yeah, that's a little cruel,
Well,
I think.
I put my shield up when we were done with it, so that's helpful. I actually have a question about the little mine things.
Yeah.
When you shoot them, there's like some deflection thing. Can you get hurt by that deflection? I'm not sure.
You cannot. You can
Okay.
never get hurt by your own bullets. You can
Okay.
never get hurt by steel bullets.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the one time where you have something that is going from right to left on the screen, really,
Mhm.
that you aren't damaged by, and that does throw a lot of people. Yeah, and I'm not sure how to communicate that other than like I guess at a safe moment you could go check.
Yeah,
wanted
yeah. Well, I guess I feel like the blue is probably enough.
Oh no, it's our bugged moment. It's supposed to release the beast at that point. Oh, bumskis. Okay, well this fight is slightly easier then.
Yeah, seems to be working fine for me.
Another very granular piece. When
Yes.
Sparky does the teleport, I don't want to have to hold that in the direction. I just want to press it how far I'm currently pressing my stick. Is that how it's set up, and I'm not perceiving that because of latency, or?
Oh well, I am probably not fully understanding what you're asking. Could you put
okay,
that
so-
another way?
Oh, never mind. It is the way that I want it to be. It just doesn't feel that way because of parsec.
Okay, yeah, it is also a thing that you can charge up if you want to. Yeah, as you notice.
The teleport?
Yeah, and you can go further if you want to, if you hold it down.
Oh.
It is shamelessly taken from Fury.
Are we currently damaging this boss? It sounds like we aren't.
Yeah, I know. Like the sound on this fight has not been fully developed. But yes, you can see that up in the top right, its health is going down as you shoot the guy. Yeah, I'm thinking any super granular feedback is exactly what we're looking for. I don't know if we are in the business of making huge changes at this point, because I think that we're feeling like the core gameplay is very baked at this point.
I would agree with that. I think if you're receiving granular feedback, it means your game's in a good place.
Ooh, thank you. Well, that's the way I like to look at it.
Sparky has a few released at perfect timing. I don't. What is perfect timing? I don't know what that is.
Oh, excellent question. I think we could explain that a lot more. So the perfect timing mechanic is just if you charge up one of your gadgets and release it within it's something like a third of a second after you're finished charging it. It's fairly forgiving.
Well, the question is, how do I know that it's fully charged? Is it when those arrows converge? Is it when my ship flashes?
Oh, I should really have a notepad open here. I
keep experimenting, and I'm like, is that it? Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, that is absolutely something where we could give a lot better instruction. Yeah, that one could just be solved by a text. Yes, it is when the arrows converge. Totally.
Okay. Like that.
Yes.
Oh, this is madness. There's so much happening right now.
Oh yeah, that's about to get a lot worse. The most controversial effect in the game.
Yeah.
So, Lane, when things get absolutely insufferable in that moment, Have we already won, or could we still die? Because I feel like
yes, that I was unsure of that too.
Okay, good question. Yeah, you're supposed to be unsure, and so technically, yes, it's the damage multiplier goes way down on that thing. And I think we could probably give you the nudge to you can't die. We could do that.
Well, there's a language in games, which is when that happens, I think people are like, oh, the cutscene has started.
Yeah,
I think it'd be very hard to convince a player that it's fair that you're not doing that. And so I'd say make people invincible. Like keep the bullets flying, but just make them invincible. I think in that moment.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think I'll just I'll write that down right now, just because we did have a moment where it was last year at a playtest at Glitch where people got through the entire game. That's the whole campaign. That's the final boss, and you get to that last part, and people died on the last second when it was basically pure white, and everybody in the room just screamed at us. So we adjusted it, but we should just make it a hard cutoff. You can't die at that point.
Mm-hmm. So we're looking at our some new UI about unlockables. Is that what we're looking at now?
You got double flippers. I don't know what that's about. That seems like a bug.
Yeah, flipper came up a second time, and now we're stuck.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that probably means that's a good moment to move on to the next game.
Well, we got about 40 minutes left in our scheduled stream, although we can stop whenever we want. No one's the boss of us. But we do have one more game we haven't done yet. But we also could probably do a whole nother campaign of Fingeance if other people wanted to give it a go. Maybe at a different difficulty or a different one of those 15 difficulty modifiers we put in the game.
Yeah, I'm suspecting that's why we're hitting an issue here. Where the thing that we are most actively working on is getting the difficulty unlocking to work. So it may be running into a problem because we cheated and all the difficulties started out unlocked.
Sure.
So we're probably hitting that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would certainly be exciting to just see what happens at another difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, yeah, we do have that last game. We do have another tester for that game queued up. So whatever you're feeling.
Well, we have our two testers who are still connected. If you both want to stay on, what would you like to do? Another round of Fingeance, or one of you want to take on Keep Dreaming?
I would be down for either, so that's not helpful, but
all right, well, then I'm going to decide for you. You're going to play Keep Dreaming, I've decided.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
And Jake, you can stick around connected if you like, because I'm not going to give you the mouse, so you can't wreck things.
Okay.
And then we can do another round of Fingeance to close out. So if anybody wants to play Fingeance, we've still got time. So go ahead and make your friend requests, make your connection requests. I'll probably be rejecting them until it's time, and we'll get another round in later. But for now, I believe you should have control of the mouse. Let me know if you do or not.
Perfect.
I thought you were talking to me. Never mind.
No, yeah, go for it.
I think I am talking to you.
Oh, you are talking to me.
Yes.
So I'm not seeing anything. It's telling me the host is doing something else right now.
Oh, right, because I have not chosen. Well, see, this is the thing I should have known already. All right. This game has no menu. It just starts up immediately. So.
And this is mouse and keyboard?
Yes. Or it's just mouse.
Just mouse. Okay.
Looks like Jake's on the way out. Thank you, Jake, for showing off your game and for playing along with us. It was great fun.
It's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Mark, what is your opinion on streaming your screen for Discord?
Like
if that's a bad idea. Well, it's just, I feel like this is a game where being 5 seconds behind because I'm watching on Twitch would be a bummer.
Well, it's difficult for those in the voice chat who are not watching it directly on the machine like I am to say click that.
Yeah, certainly.
But the timing for the stream is perfectly fine. Unfortunately, Lane, you are the only one who suffers.
Yeah. All right. So if I sound like I'm a doofus saying things way out of order, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
It is a legitimate concern, though, especially when you are dealing with like direct like feedback or like comments that are like sensitive to the second. So it's just something to keep in mind that there's that if you are here on the event stage with us and watching a muted stream, there's a couple seconds off.
I'll have to make timeless comments. Oh, this bloom is so good.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just use the default like built-in like Unity if post-processing.
I wonder. Probably. I mean,
Looks-
it's what it is what's good about it is the art direction, less so. It's a fairly simple effect, but really, really, really well done.
I like the little heart particle effect.
Yeah.
On the dog.
And I can tell that there is so there's music coming from that door. The sound for me is very quiet, and like maybe I just need to turn my Discord down. Yeah, that's nice. I do like it.
This is an incredibly relatable game for me.
Yeah.
Man, the Christmas tree lights sneak up on you so much. That's the one that keeps killing me when I play this game.
What I like is the temperature sensor, and there's the bird outside making noise, and so you want the window closed. And so if it's cool enough...
Oh, is that what's going on? Okay.
That's my guess anyway.
Oh, that is so smart. Yeah, I just kept the window closed because all I saw was the bird, but that's genius.
That's okay. So that's the temperature on the left? Oh.
The left is your wakefulness. When that hits the top, you're done.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You want to give it another go?
Yeah, I'm slowly piecing together what I'm. Okay.
Already, this game looks as stressful as throwing items out of a bag.
Yeah.
It took me a second to figure out that I have to raise this to the plant.
Yeah.
That thing.
Yeah.
And
It's all coming at you now.
yeah. So this window is glowing, but
right, you can't close those blinds.
Okay.
Yeah. And the window is likely glowing because of the temperature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so is this the temperature?
that is just the temperature, and then so that's the only risk reward mechanic in the game is you want to keep the temperature cool, but you don't want to that bird is going to be out there.
Oh, jeez. There's also there is a little bit of delay on the mouse movement.
Yeah, just a bit for you. Yeah. It is funny that Alexa has been going for a while, but you just get used to it.
Yeah, it's.
I've had that with my own actual alarm clock. I'm just like, after like 2 minutes of it going, I'm just like, that's just what it sounds like in this room now.
Okay. So I gotta. Okay. Oh, it's gone.
The panic sets in. We made it all the way to 9 o'clock. That's very close to the end.
There's an end. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if they would just like let you sleep until 1 or something, and I was gonna ask like, how wholesome is that?
Yeah, there's a limit. I think as a jam game, I think they want to just put a limit on it, but
yeah.
Should I give it one more go? Or...
If you're up to it.
Okay, let's try it. Because now that somebody told me I was close to the end, I feel like...
yeah,
you're motivated, right?
Yeah.
I wish the game would tell you that. You know.
I will say that with the window, I say just leave the window open until it's cool, and then close it until it's too hot.
Okay, even if the bird's out there.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but like in my playthrough, it never mattered. Viewers don't know that you don't just click the dog; you actually have to pet the dog, click it over and over again.
Yeah.
Which is really fun.
So everybody judging me. in a way where I can't see it because I don't. I'm sure everybody's just roasting me.
The one that you keep missing is the
popping off.
The one that you keep missing is the Alexa, but I think that might be just that that sound is not registering as much on your end. And so you're probably not getting that indicator.
It's a little, it's a little quiet, which is, I think, totally. I can just adjust my. Okay.
Doing good.
Gotta hit that Alexa again, though.
Oh, Alexa, yeah. I just you're even right after saying it.
And of course, I'm the only one who is up to date on what you're seeing and hearing. So I'm your only lifeline.
I mean, I think that you're doing so well that I just learned that you can actually become more restful. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Oh, this is solid.
Well, I'm still going. It's like it went off like right away. That was weird.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching Boxer make Marines right now.
I was literally about to say I feel like I'm playing StarCraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you going back to the alarm because it's the one that is the most actually annoying. I don't know how the game treats it, but that's the one I want to turn off right away.
It's a very like instantly anxiety producing sound to hear that.
Yeah, that window strategy has paid off a lot.
Yeah.
Gotta get those Christmas lights.
Man, I keep hearing you say stuff that's going to be relevant soon. And I'm like, Mark, how did you know that was happening? Oh my god.
There's always that moment you're like, I think I'm okay for a while, and then
you're
immediately not.
I definitely feel like it can ramp up incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is intentional. I know that in Fingeance, one thing that I found in making it is the game became much more enjoyable to play as I intentionally spread enemies out so that there would be like big surges where it got stressful and then like rest periods after that.
The Alexa, it really.
Oh, look, you got it. You made it to 11, and you were so close to losing it.
Yeah, that was close.
Wow, well done.
Pulled it out in the end.
Oh, I was there at the end there, you were clicking a bunch of things and not going for the alarm, and I was like, I'm not going to say anything. That was excellent.
Great, though.
There's a lot of drama in that.
Yeah.
That's like a telltale sign of like, I think that's what, when you're making smaller games, you like, you have to prepare yourself for the depth you can achieve. Because I think it's really easy to be like, oh, this is a simple thing, there's not much to it. And then you can ignore all the things it does to the player, you know? And I think this game does a really good job of like, it's maybe, I'm not sure how much of it by happenstance, but like all those moments where it's these, my guess is it's all just random, right? It's very, very, it's a simple toy. I can't imagine it's much more complicated than that. And maybe there's something like this only appears after this so often or whatever to guide the experience. But my guess is there's not a lot of depth to the construction of it. But it ends up having a really like wide range of emotions as you feel you've got it. And it's like the alarm again, or like, you know, it's like, oh, I can never get the temperature right or whatever, depending on what it randomly throws at you.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That was very good. Especially and it was very satisfying to get down the like window management once I understood. Yeah.
All right, we've got Six No Mayo has joined the Icebox, and we have somebody in chat looking for instructions. And Lane, it looks like you've got that handled.
Yeah, hopefully.
And so So I think we'll go back to Fingeance. I think we can. We got plenty of time for another round of Fingeance, I think. So we'll staff up. Gus, would you like to remain on for this last round?
I might go back into the digital audience because I do have to eat something, and I might probably not be good to do that.
Oh, that reminds me. I probably should take care of that eventually. Thank you so much for joining us, and it was really a blast to have you.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to play. All right, I'm gonna go and find some food.
All right, good luck.
All right, thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome aboard, sir. Welcome back for your second month recurring guest, Fex.
Yes.
All right, excellent to have you on board. Cinnabon, are you joining us for Fingeance?
I am actually also going to have to bail. I've got some work to do.
No.
But I definitely appreciate the offer, and I will definitely be back in the future.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your game.
Yes, it was such a blast to play, and good to have you on.
Mm-hmm. Good luck, you guys.
Thank you. So we are waiting on 6 No Mayo to join us on the event stage.
That's right. We have a bit of a mix here where we have two players. One is connected to us via Parsec, but not on Discord voice chat. And the other, the opposite of that. So this is the kind of, panic I'm dealing with right now, people.
Unbelievable. Well, the three of us can surely sort out at least one of these problems.
Yes.
Fex, would you please open up Parsec? I had you connect to me earlier. Right now, you're going to connect to one called Icebox. It should be in your list.
Icebox. Got it?
Yep.
Sending the request.
All right, I've seen the request. I'm accepting it now. You should see a screen on your window. It says host is doing something else.
Yep.
And then 6 No Mayo, which for many folks in chat, and they know that's my wife Dale, who, as if on cue, lost their connection with the machine. So we're going to give that one another try. Alternately, Dale, you can just come in here and take over my chair like you did last month. That's fine.
Perfect. I see that Dale is not here as an event participant. Oh, and just to be sure, 6 No Mayo and Plain with Mayo are not the same person.
That's right. They are two different people. One prefers mayo and the other doesn't. It's a pretty important distinction, in fact.
I believe that's the first question on every personality test. Welcome aboard, Dale.
Hello.
You made it, but we lost your connection on Parsec. Why don't you go ahead and give that another try?
Yeah, my computer said it was dying battery, and I tried to turn on the light to turn on the outlet, and it did not work. My Alexa did not hear me. So my computer is now restarting.
Dale is informing us of household facts that no one else is going to understand. On what outlets are hooked up to what light switches.
I'm not talking to you. Hello,
Right.
everybody else.
Howdy. Is this something you're going to be able to wrap up in the next few minutes? Should we have you hop on Mark's computer?
Hold on, let's see. It should be just a minute.
Sure. All right. Well, we are close enough. But let's hear, Lane, tell me about these 12 different modes. I need you to explain yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So like some of the games that have been coming out that have been kicking butt in the roguelike space have been these games that are really solving the onboarding problem in a way that like a lot of roguelikes have suffered with for a long time. You play like your Spelunky or like going way back to like Rogue, NetHack. These games would be almost impenetrable. There would be games where you would lose within 5 minutes over and over and over and over again. And what the recent like sort of breakthrough it has been games that have like a very low difficulty, which is the standard difficulty at the start. But then as you progress, as you beat that difficulty, move on to the next one, they unfold in a sense and unlock like more features, more things that you have to work through in order to beat a game. And that's what we've been introducing here. Now, as for the right number, I'm not sure, but one thing about having a lot of difficulties like that is it greatly extends the amount of time that you get out of your Fingeance purchase. So that's like another way that we have to look at it.
I think the other side of that coin is if someone, you have to make sure that they're not satisfied after mode 3 or 4. Right?
Yes. And by the way, with these roguelikes, a ton of people are satisfied after 3 or 4, and that's a mode that I think is a perfectly valid way to play. We have in extras a mode where you can sort of like take all these different difficulty perks and a bunch of different sliders and sort of customize your own way to play the game.
Mhm.
So like there's things for all kinds, but I mean the core roguelike audience, I think, is like people who sort of really enjoy that high level of risk and difficulty, and that's why we have those like top difficulties there.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we got Six Nomeo back connected. So go ahead and test your controller to see if it works. Dale, you there?
I got nothing.
My local controller works. Everybody else? No? Okay.
Mine might work, but
You can navigate the menu?
yes.
Okay, but Dale, you can't.
True.
All right. I'll go ahead and... I don't think this is a problem with this game in particular, but I'm going to go ahead and quit it and just start over now that we're all connected and ready to go. And just see... Ooh, no button prompts. Charles. Also, when I opened... Here's a bit of feedback. I opened this menu with my mouse and no button prompts. And then when I touched a key on my controller, it of course then says, "Hey, you're using a controller," puts up the button prompts, but I actually can't engage with this menu with anything. In fact, that's interesting. I'd say I've never seen that bug in Fingeance before. I think it's control input handling is top notch and has been for a long time. Little fun.
So are you hitting a thing, just to make sure I get this note correctly, that that on this screen here you are unable to leave?
Yeah, just sort of detailing it like a bug report, basically, like a sloppy bug report. Yeah, so I moused over quit and I selected it, and then independent of the button prompts, because I know that's a different system, I was unable to use my controller to actually exit or go back, and then I couldn't use my keyboard either. So maybe the problem is just that once you click it with the mouse, it doesn't load up the input handler or something like that. I don't know. Dale, can you control the menu now?
Nope.
No dice?
Easy way. Can I do this the easy way?
Just barging in here and playing along with me on this machine? Of course you can.
Yes, that would be it.
Okay. Let me get up a second controller then.
Okay. Whoa.
Okay. As we wait for Dale to cross our apartment.
Whoa, what kind of palatial estate do you live in?
I'm here now.
Dale, would you like a PlayStation controller or an Xbox controller? That's what.
PlayStation.
All right, there you go.
PlayStation.
Fantastic.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and now Dale can criticize our Rumble even more. I've made peace with this.
Well, it's the I didn't give her the Xbox controller. That's where there's quite a lot of it.
It's pretty bad on PS4 as well. Oh boy. Oh my god, Dale still isn't there. I guess after she completes her like 2-hour-long hike across the apartment. My goodness.
Dale, you can
I believe I can control things now. Let's start.
All right, I got to use the mouse to get these new difficulties. Lane, standard again, or should we do something different?
Well, I sort of feel as though since you and since Fex and since Dale have all played the game quite a bit, I would go ahead and go up to like maybe five or six, something in there.
Okay. Poorer enemies means that fewer gears.
That is correct.
and then any of these were fine, right?
That is true. Yeah, they all do nothing.
Okay.
Oh, I can't wait to coach you guys from 10 seconds in the past. This is going to be very exciting.
Okay. Oh, be a jellyfish.
So last time around, we had a very, very, very aggressive team. I think it would be interesting to see somebody take on a role that's more defensive.
Lane, if you'd like, we actually only have one person connected via Parsec. So if you'd like to connect via Parsec to see a more live view, just for this purpose, feel free to make that request.
Oh my god, yeah, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, Icebox, let me in.
And there you go.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Little tutorial here.
Oh, I shoot in different ways. There's a carrot. I'm very excited about that.
I was getting kind of used to Gil and their basic infinite gadget.
Yes.
Because you know me, I never go for speed, so the punishment for using Gil's right gadget, which is as long as you hold it down, you can fire like forever, but you go very slowly. I'm like, great, win-win for me.
Oh yeah, like that was a thing that we actually did, kind of with you in mind.
Really?
Because I think that there were. Well, I think that you have been maybe a voice among many that has sort of been like along those lines. And then we've also had people who have told us very strongly that we like shoot 'em ups. We just wish there was a character that was more like a classic shoot 'em up character. So that character. That mechanic is stolen 100% from Astral Gunners, we've been very happy with how it works because it creates this character that is it's exploitable. You can do a lot of damage, but they're also very fragile compared to most characters.
The one problem I had with it is it took me a little while to realize what it did.
Yes.
But I've made this opinion known to you before that I would prefer that all the characters control their controls were the same. But that's a design philosophy more than it's something you need to fix if you don't agree.
Well,
but it just makes it harder to get on board with a new character.
It is really, really inelegant, I think, that there are precisely 3 gadgets in a game of like 30 of them that work in one way and everything else works the other way.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's bad in my opinion. If it was like half and half, that would probably be easier to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so when it was just Sparky, who has kind of the attitude of like, I'm the elitist, I'm the best at everything. Like it's sort of like I felt it was emotionally more okay to sort of say, you're gonna have to get on our level and learn something new to play this character. But yeah,
right.
With Gil being one of the basic characters that has one piece that works different from everything else,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know if it's worth it. It's been fun, but yeah, should it be in the game?
I will also say I really enjoy. I mean, I'm obviously motivated to play it in that style because I like it a lot. But I also feel like I'm cheating a little bit, like because I kind of because once I do my cooldown, once I upgrade my cooldown once or twice, like I'm basically firing that gadget 70%, 80% of the time, and that doesn't seem fair. Like even if the numbers of the damage are not so high, in which case I'm balanced with other characters, I still feel like I'm exploiting the game a little bit.
Well,
because so little of the game works that way, you know.
It's something that is very imbalancing for the low versus high difficulties.
Sure.
And in that at low difficulties, it is 100% very easy to exploit. And then at higher difficulties, you have more and more moments where you have to leave position, you have to care about speed. And oh boy, like whether that sort of thing should be in the game on a basic character. Ooh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm. So what happens if I can't afford anything? I don't know if that's ever happened before.
Well, then you press the shapeless white button that means ready. That's going to be the start button.
Okay, so there isn't really a problem. It's just a tiny little bug. Okay, I was like, what do I just wait till everyone else is? But then I would. I'm surprised I got so flummoxed by that.
Tiptoe around Charles's feelings. He won't notice. Don't worry about it. And but yes. If you don't have enough to buy anything, yeah, that'll happen. And that happens more once you get this 4 enemies thing.
Right. Yeah. It's gonna happen probably. Well, we do get to keep what we got already, but
you do.
We're gonna have fewer opportunities to shop. And so that has an ultimate like balancing effect in that it makes the game harder, but it doesn't make the game different. That is interesting. It's like it's just coming at it from the other way because it just makes us weaker.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of our upgrades are just damage boosts.
Yeah, and I've encountered this when other roguelikes do it, and it's definitely it's weird, right? Because it's not that you are accomplishing something bigger; it's just that you were worse and you still managed to do it. And I don't, and like in a way, it's kind of cool to overcome adversity like that. But on the other hand, yeah, it definitely feels worse than the other perks, I think.
Mm-hmm. It does make the risk of these corrupted sectors, which are optional.
Yes.
It makes it more enticing because scrap is so rare.
Oof.
Oh.
Creating some good air here, you guys. This is exciting.
Don't die.
All right, my little achievement, don't scream on air, has just been violated. Oopsie. That's too good. That's too good. Nice job, Ben.
Oh.
Oof.
I just ate that.
Oh, look at all those.
Is that all they've got for us? That's the right attitude, Ben. These trivialities.
Nope, dead.
Oh man, I'm down to a sliver again.
There we go. Welcome back, Dorsa.
Are these Japanese fish?
They are in fact guppies.
What made you think they're Japanese?
It looks like they're wearing the Japanese flag on their shirt.
Oh, I think that's just something bolted to the side of them. It just looks like the rising sun.
Well, I'm gonna say that's confusing.
I was like, these are all Olympic athletes carrying their banner.
Yup.
There's a reason why you are the #1 playtester. I never would have thought of that, and that is so true.
That it looks exactly like a Japanese flag. I will also say the reboot is too long for me because I keep losing because I'm bad at this. But I do enjoy...
That's good feedback.
Yeah, it should be the same every time, regardless of how many times you've died before. Because if you're bad at it, you're never going to get better if you just have less time to play.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and there is like one of the crucial issues with this as like a party game, which is it's so tough to like find a way to like get people who are of different like experience levels, skill levels to play it together.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not one for like overloading a menu with options, but I think that would be a good one. Like party mode, like 5-second respawns all the time.
Ooh, I
Oh,
like
100%.
that.
Now, the question is, we've been batting that exact thing around, and Charles is going to be so happy to hear you say party mode. I'm sure he'll say something in chat to that effect. But the way that I've been negotiating this with them is basically suggesting that if there is a custom run thing, or if there is a game customization thing, that it's treated like the Smash Brothers options screen, where you can just like use a whole bunch of sliders to tweak the game in exactly the way that you want. That's the thing that I want for the game.
I will say that is antithetical to the solution offered by a party mode. In that it requires if I have 3 people come, not even knowledge, just fiddly time. If I have 3 people over and it's like, let's play a match, it's like, oh, but let's turn off this thing so it's a little bit easier. And in order to do that, I have to go into this menu where all the options are available. I think that's I'm less likely to engage in that, or even learn that it exists.
Interesting. Yeah, like I guess the thing that I have in my mind, and maybe this is too much of just a personal picture that isn't applicable in all situations, but is like the experience of going through exactly that in Smash Brothers, being like, oh, this seems too serious for us. Let's try out this thing and see if we can make it have a better time for us. Was very organic, but that was a very different age.
Yeah. Huh.
Very interesting to think about that.
So my feedback on this less scrap thing is really interesting because ultimately what it made us much more vulnerable to what ultimately killed us, which is waves of tiny enemies. Because we couldn't upgrade our weapons fast enough, and so basically we were guaranteed to get at least a scrape, if not worse, every time that happened. So it ended up being not. I mean, I other players can speak to it, but I feel it didn't seem that much more difficult to be underpowered, except in those moments when you need to break through the thing coming at you.
Yeah.
When avoiding is not an option, but you have to power through, right? Because the game doesn't require you to do that a lot, but when it does, it rewards experience and skill in a way that is like, when you don't have it, you know what you need. So it's really good communication for players who are beginners, is my opinion. But I think in that case, it just upped the difficulty almost by surprise, because I was like really not expecting to not be able to take care of that wave just with 3 of us all firing at it, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah, Fex, you've played on a handful of different difficulties now. What do you make of that in terms of what fewer scrap rewards does to the game and does to your experience?
Well, obviously, yeah, I kind of agree. Like the part, again, this kind of just is a basic fact, but like obviously the parts where needing the scrap is, well, needing the parts where you actually need the upgrades are obviously that much more difficult, but everything else is just, you know, basically what they've been saying.
Yeah, I think I pick up what you're talking about here. I think that it totally did sneak up on everybody there, and I think that it's possible that we need to do like some more signposting, because the thing that killed you in my experience is that going into the coral reef, it's very important to have some sort of wave clear. And so if there was any possibility to pick a augment on the pick one of 3 screen, somebody on that team needed to do that, because that was a very weak team in terms of clearing out waves of enemies.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing that I definitely enjoy having that sort of a game knowledge rewarding thing in a game. But how do you best communicate that, and to what degree do you have an obligation to communicate that, or do you just let people pick that up?
Yeah, it's tricky because I think you're right in that is rewarding to be able to adapt to when those things change. But part of me worries that when those enemies come by, that this little swarm goes by, a shield doesn't feel like the most effective strategy in most playthroughs, because then it's a waste of a shield. I feel like powering through a narrow, finding the thinnest part of the wave that's coming at you and just shooting through, and maybe I'll squeak by. Most of the time I can squeak by without getting it if I just fire through it. Now with when I definitely have less power, either through augments or through upgrading the weapon, a shield for Finn is definitely a better strategy for that moment. But while it just feels like it's different. It's like they're different enemies now, and I feel like you could provide that level that just with through a normal difficulty scale, I suppose. I don't know. It seems it kind of just means shuffling things up rather than making it. Am I making any sense?
Well, so I think that one way that I'm looking at difficulty here is that at higher difficulties, yes, there's more damage. Yes, you're going to be dodging more stuff. But a big piece of it is, what I feel like is at the high difficulty, we have we can afford, we have a bigger budget to require you to know things, require you to be able to execute diverse tasks, and to be able to plan ahead, because you know the game better. You've been in there a lot longer. So I think that the solution that I would look at is at the lower difficulties, and I would even call 6 a lower difficulty, because it's not the extreme territory yet. What you would do is you would probably take that specific attack and thin out the number of missiles, or you would make it so that there's a wave of missile and then there's significantly longer before the next thing, so that your things go on cooldown. You don't have as much of a burden to have a lot of wave clear. One good wave clear would be enough in that case.
Sure.
And so what we would allow us to do is say that by the time you get up to difficulty 11 or 12, then you really have to have your stuff together and know exactly what to do when that attack comes.
Okay, so because the concern I have is that something is true, and then at a certain difficulty, it's something else is true. But if that something else remains true going forward, then that's interesting, I think. And I guess playing through the difficulties in sequence might be a really interesting day-long playthrough.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, have we reached the end of our time here, just about?
Yeah, we're just burning time now till 9. So, if there's anything else you want to tell us about because we only really got to try 2 of these different modes, and I do really want to hear more about what else is different about them. Because I think when Steven was describing this to me earlier, the framework in which you built these settings was really fascinating. But I want to hear the specifics.
Yeah, so I mean, we can feel free to like hit A here, and we can go ahead into the next screen. We can see what all the different perks are.
Sure.
There's a couple of them that get repeated. They just it's a more extreme version. But here we go. This is one you played on. More enemies. Okay, so this was a big thing that was extremely useful to know, which is it took something like 6 years. I forget how long it's been since we started making this. But to push into my thick skull that there's too much dang stuff on the screen at one time. Everybody's been saying that, and it really took a long time. So what I realized was, and this is the specifics for you. What we did was we set up these pretty little gizmos so that we could visualize every single spawner in the game being able to level up. And at the first difficulty, and especially towards the beginning of the game, they're at a very low level. So they will either not spawn things at all, or they will spawn a much simpler, gentler version of what they ultimately do. When you go to Corruption 1, we assume that you have learned the controls because you managed to get through the game once. So now we have a little bit higher budget to add in things. So this comes from like watching my dad, watching my extended family play, and basically them being like, I can't take trying to learn the controls and also have all this stuff going on at once. Now that you've learned the controls, we can start to stir in stronger enemies earlier and have way more of them. So we're going to require you to be able to deal with larger waves of enemies.
Right.
So is this going to be locked off initially?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And they'll have,
Yes.
and this is a in progress naming and presentation, obviously.
Yes. I think that what we'll have is probably just a thing that is like, this is the standard mode. Then you'll have like the corruption difficulties as another selectable thing, and then a custom run or a party mode, depending on who wins out, as the third option. You would have a lighter experience and also be able to like change things in order to customize the experience more.
Right. So rather than giving someone like a billion options, you give them families of options.
Yes.
And fewer than previous. That seems like a good way to have your cake and eat it too, in a way that I'm not being sarcastic about. I think that's good.
Yes.
I'm nervous about how many, but I think that walling them off means that players can approach it. Like if a player plays standard Fingeance and they like the roguelike quality and they like playing the same thing over and over and over again because it's a highly replayable game and never explore anything else, that's still a success, as long as there are enough players who appreciate the additional depth that those extra modes provide.
Yeah, especially since it gives you more rewards because you're like you're playing without the poorer enemies, and we would probably give you a bonus on top of that. You can really pull off some really silly stuff there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what people can do in that, to be honest.
Yeah. So then deadlier and tougher. So it's just weapons and shields.
Oh.
Precisely what you think of. Yeah, exactly. The one thing about deadly is that there's a specific way that I've been thinking about it, which is in the lowest difficulty, there is one attack that gets away with being a particular emotion, which is something that I found very enjoyable when I was working on the game, and I overdid it. And it is the feeling of unrelenting pressure on you for quite a long time, and I find that like that's one of the things that we want to use extremely sparingly. And so what we specifically toned down below difficulty 3 are these attacks where you have to dodge, and then the spotlight is on you, and you have to dodge for a set amount of time. Right. And the one gauntlet that gets away with that is the minefield chase in the Giant Death Ray. And that's just because we feel like that is like one of the key set piece things that kind of sells the game. So we want that to be in there right away.
Yeah, I think new players who get wrecked by that, I don't think any of them are mad about it.
Yeah, it's been great. That and the Devastator subs giant beam attack are the ones that people laugh at when they die.
Yeah, I'm less keen on the Devastator's giant beam, but you've done a better job with the tell on that, I think.
I think that we could do a better job even still, but yeah, the tell is very, very important.
Yeah.
Fewer heal cogs is just to put more stress on having a healer on the team. Corruption.
Continues?
Corruption 8 is the most evil one, and yeah, it's where the tension starts at a much higher level right from the start.
Yeah. I think that one's pretty good because when I've played with groups, I feel like if we reach a continue, like it's very likely we're not gonna win. Like that's my experience, my anecdotal experience is that I feel like if you can't do the whole campaign without needing a continue, I feel like it's a sign that you're probably going to need more than one continue. And so the no continues is, I think it's good, but I actually don't know if I'd put it this far up the chain.
Interesting. Okay, I like that.
I think you should get other people's feedback and maybe get some data on that, because I might just be that just might be my impression.
Again, this is just in the realm of feelings, but I feel that is less the case than it was before, specifically because you now have this thing that says, and by the way, I think that those Doom vaults that open up the corrupted chunk that's much more difficult, they aren't very well balanced at lower difficulties. They're not quite as challenging as they should be at lower difficulties. But like where you can effectively say, I am going to pay a certain amount of like risk or health in order to get money. And if you don't have a continue, then that experience is quite a bit differently. Those things get a lot inferior, because that reward honestly matters a lot to you, especially after poorer enemies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, any others that we should talk about? Oh, yeah, so difficulty 1 specifically steps up like enemies throughout the entire game. What this one tries to do, and I'm not done with it yet, but it's what it essentially does is once you cross Corruption 9, there are occasional times where in certain parts of levels you'll have just a horde of enemy, like it says, legions of enemies. And what this will do is, and I'm honestly wondering, like, do we need to have some sort of like warning arrow that they're about to come or something like that? But like where basically the game starts pushing you to want to like think about your wave clear a lot more once you hit that one.
Yeah, like by the time it's on you, it's too late to come up with a way to get through it.
Precisely. Now, yeah, and we've had to like I had to like slow down the enemies that do that, because if they were fast, you would be mid cooldown and have no way out. So yeah, this has been one we've had to think about a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're past 9, but I want to hear about the rest of these, so I'm not going to let you off the hook. This one's pretty obvious. Yep. Deadlier, brutal bosses. This is the last one, right?
Yeah. So this is our like send off, and the specific way. And by the way, this one is not complete at the moment. It's a pretty boring, just like health multiplier on the bosses. But the goal of it is, this is the director's cut. It's all the stuff that I wanted to put into the bosses
that your coworkers wouldn't let you.
Due to sanity constraints. Yes, absolutely. And so this is the version of the game where, like, when we hit a point in a boss where I'm like, I'm getting bored, it'll throw some more enemies at you, or the boss can get away with certain attacks that they don't have otherwise. And so, like I said, it's partially done. There's already a few places where all of a sudden the boss will like midway through its life throw on like a rack of new turrets or something. But like I'm still kind of working on exactly what that means. But that's the idea.
Yeah. Well, thanks for walking through that. I think that like it's been interesting to see like it's hard to test big changes like that, but I think you have enough understanding of like the guts of the game that you are going to have to just do some of that on instinct, but hopefully you'll be able to get enough playtest opportunities to get some proper data on that stuff.
Yeah. Get like possibly analytics in the game, and so when it is released, and just pay attention to community feedback so that we can have an idea where we're at with that. Because I think the most important thing to us to start with is just getting those first few levels so that they actually feel good for people who haven't played the game before. Because as you know, that's been a problem for a long time.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's the end of the night. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Fex, for sticking around to the end here and playing that last round of Fingeance with us.
I feel like I could have given more feedback. Especially because you're most testing out like the difficulty levels. I feel like I could have given more feedback if I had more experience.
Well, the game is a little too engaging, probably.
Exactly.
It's not your fault. You get a mulligan on that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, hope to see you back next month. But yeah, it's a tough game to comment on while you're playing it. It doesn't really let up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's the end of it. Thank you, Lane, so much for filling in for Peter this month, and we'll see if next month also keeps Peter stuck in whatever pocket dimension he's been absconded away to, and I feel likely to have you back. Thank you to everybody who stuck around and watched. Thank you to all the playtesters who came on, and for the developers who shared their games tonight. It was a blast. Lane, you have anything to sign us off with?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, like I said at the top of the show, this sort of event is something that if you're not a game developer, you might not know this feeling, but like every artist craves having some opportunity to show their work. And I find that like one of the biggest things that a lot of developers and a lot of artists in general need is that push to show their work at a specific time. Getting this feedback has been an absolute treasure for me. So what I would recommend is if you know any artists who are struggling to motivate themselves to show off, or if they need a deadline, have them come our way, because we would love to show more local games, and not even just local to the Twin Cities area, but local to this Discord or to our growing friend group. Please bring them on. Yeah, absolutely. More games, more folks to play them, more times to play them, just more. That's what we're after here. So until next month, I have no fun thing to end the broadcast with. Dale, do you want to say something cute?
Remember to.
Nope, that's not the show. That's pretty good.
That's all I can think of. You need a sign off tag then.
All right.
I'm gonna go with "It's warp time."